better.
Get it analyzed, yeah.
So, Kaufman County's barbecue.
Yeah, you get like a 3-page report on every bale of hay.
Yeah, it's nice.
And it's fun to see, the differences, what the fertilizer's doing.
And it's, there's a lot to it.
So do you
It's
just
art
go,
inside.
do you go other than anything other than
We have a cow operation as well. Hello, Pastor.
Terry, haven't seen you in a while. Cleaned up a little bit.
Tom?
Hey, Terry. Colorado. Okay. But he's gonna be on my phone, so he can hear, participate. I thought this was his gate's been closed.
Yeah, and then we have, there's some it's on, you can
He
just.
says the weather's better there.
Thank you.
Mention that.
Humidity is better. Yeah. I'll tell him that.
But my husband and my daughter do most of it.
Cattle, the ranching.
I will hold the gates.
How many cows you got?
100 head or so.
Right now about 60. I had 100 and something.
We need to take some to market though.
When
When the prices are good.
Panhandle will burn it up, I got them a bunch of prices went up.
See, I got a couple of Great Pyrenees dogs. They're supposed to be herding animals or protecting animals.
No, those are good at running away.
They run away a lot.
That's what they're good at.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah,
They
no,
don't
we
respect
know.
fences, they don't respect.
Man, we know about Pyrenees, don't we? I think all of our roads, see, he lives on the other end of my road, we all know about the white Pyrenees that run away
Yeah.
from their owners.
The
Yeah.
whole world is their territory.
Oh my goodness.
They're very independent.
I put a GPS collar on one we had one time, and it was all the way up at burgers and fries and
They do the painting.
down 270. I mean, it'd be going miles. I'm like,
We have apple, what are those called?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Our dog's colors have apples.
That's helpful. Do you track them? Yeah.
it's interesting to see where they rank.
Anywhere they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until
Well,
they,
they're from the highlands, right? I mean, they're from like up in the mountains where they have millions of acres.
Well, they're really designed for sheep.
Yeah.
We don't have any sheep in life.
my daughter has sheep.
Does she want to put the Great Pyrenees?
No, thank you. I have, my daughter's dog is on a zip line right now, keeping deer out of our orchard because we have a harvest that we really would like to harvest. And the squirrel and the deer just decimate it, but this dog is doing a good job. Like,
No, they're good dogs.
deer.
You have to know Terry got all my hay put in. Because we got it there just in time for his stuff.
Okay, the time is 6:28. If you would like to speak, you need to sign up. You have 2 minutes to sign up to speak.
Have a good meeting.
All right.
Let us know if you can do it. Some more food?
In fact, I might have some. This is the center of mine. Yep.
If you're not worried about me giving you food poisoning.
Around the corner there. The time is 6:30 p.m. Welcome to our Poetry Town Council meeting for our beautiful town of Poetry, Texas on June 20th, 2024. We welcome you and want you to feel heard, valued, informed, and connected to your town and its council. We welcome diversity of opinion and want minority views as well as majority views to be heard. We also appreciate mutual respect despite opposing view. Your opinions, suggestions, and comments in favor of or against a topic are welcome. However, this town council meeting is not the time to ask questions or for interrogations. We encourage anyone having questions to come either to talk to us at a break or after the meeting to email or schedule a meeting with us. At this time, I need to remind the public that a disruption of the meeting may be considered a criminal offense according to Texas Penal Code 3813 and 4205. You must be signed up to speak during the meeting and stay on topic according to state law. To preserve the order and decorum of the meeting, any person who makes profane, slanderous, threatening remarks or becomes disruptive during the meeting will be asked to leave or may be escorted out by a peace officer and given a citation. At this time, our town secretary, Ann Hamilton, will take roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Jaffe,
Here.
Councilman Fowler,
Here.
Councilman Anderson,
Here.
Councilman Blake,
Here.
Councilman White. Is he not on phone? Okay.
He's absent.
Yeah. And Mayor Tara Sankovic.
Here. Okay, and quorum is confirmed. So Councilmember Simeon White is in Colorado as an insurance adjuster. They've been pummeled with hailstones, and so he is having to be there on work assignment. At this time, we have Pastor Sarah Porter of the Poetry United Methodist Church here to say the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you please bow your head in prayer? Heavenly Father and gracious God, we thank you for this day and for this opportunity to meet. God, we thank you for allowing us to be here safely and together to discuss the needs and concerns of this community and the desires of this community. God, I ask that you would bless each person that is here. I ask that you would bless the council members, the mayor, God, so that the decisions that are made will be reflective of your will for this community and your glory. God, I ask that you would impart your wisdom upon us, that you would give the council vision in their hearts and their minds to do what is best and right for this community. And we thank you, Father, for all that you've done and all that you will do. In Jesus' glorious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
You're welcome.
Okay, at this time, under items of community interest, Tom, would you like to say something?
Sure.
Hello,
I guess,
hello.
Oh, excuse me.
Simeon?
I'm here.
Councilmember White's joining us via phone. He won't be able to vote, but he will be able to participate in the conversation. So he's right here connected to the yellow microphone.
It's something, right?
Yes, sir. So Councilmember Tom is getting ready to say something about Miss Evie.
Well, I guess, most of you know I missed the last meeting. My wife was in the hospital. Actually, in January, discovered she had a brain tumor, and it was one of the worst, glioblastoma. And it's no cause is known and no cure is known. It was inoperable. And anyway, she still was going through radiation, chemo, immunotherapy, and everything as she could. And then eventually, it started getting into her lungs, the reduced immunity from the chemo, and so it got into her lungs. She got some kind of lung infection, bacterial, probably pneumonia. And anyway, the last month, she was really going down because of that, and she ended up passing away on June 9th at our house. She was at UT Southwestern for the last few weeks, but she wanted to come home to die, and she did. And she knew for the last 6 months she was going to die. She just didn't know when, but she did everything she could, including wrote out her obituary herself and picked the slides for a slideshow herself. And she's a brave person. And I appreciate all the help and support. Yeah.
This is a tough loss.
Oh, I should mention, yeah, if anybody's interested, there'll be a mass at the St. John Catholic Church in Terrell on July 4th, which is about the only day that the pastor had available, the father. And it'll be at 11 o'clock on St. John Catholic Church, and then followed by catered meal in the parish hall, which is across the street, around 12. And then we're going to have the burial. She was cremated, so have the burial of the ashes in New Hope Cemetery out in Sunnyvale about 3 o'clock. And also there'll be a rosary read about 10:30 before the mass at 11. So anyway, appreciate anybody that knows her and who would like to come. Well, please come.
Well, our deep condolences to Tom and his family. Evie will be sorely missed. She was a wonderful volunteer and clerk for our community, our town, and it's a great loss, and we will miss her deeply. On June 13th, the Governor Abbott added Hunt County to a long list of counties declared a state of disaster, which already included Rockwall and Kaufman counties. This means that there's potential monies for those who may have had damage to any structure. The Cake with Council will be held at the Town Hall this coming Tuesday, the 25th, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. All citizens are invited to discuss town topics in an informal manner. It'll be right here. We'll have some good chocolate cake. So please come if you'd like to just have the ear of a council member. We have Council Member Fowler and Council Member Blake and myself will be here this time. We have to limit that to two council members at a time. Thank you to Councilmember Jaffe and Commissioner David Monroe for going to great lengths to handle a large culvert repair in an expedited manner. Owing to the big storm damage we had, they went above and beyond, and thank you so much. They handled a very dangerous repair in the day of, and we're just very appreciative. Thanks to Blackjack Disposal, they delivered a dumpster. It's still out here free of charge to assist citizens in the cleanup from the recent storms. So those who didn't want to burn or couldn't burn for whatever reason, that is still out here. Now it's kind of full, but I think that it can be pushed down. It is still out there. The town is in need of a volunteer to dig the trench for the French drain. I think Councilmember Blake has volunteered to help. If there's anyone else, we still need that. We're still soliciting donations requested for the agriculture scholarship. The town hall will be closed on Independence Day, Thursday, July 4th, but will be open Wednesday, July 3rd, 1 to 5 p.m. instead. Moving on to the reports, we have the May end. We had deposits of $10,443.50. We had withdrawals of $371.55 and checks paid of $4,868.52, which leaves us, we had a starting balance of $118,443.89, leaves us at $647.32. In the May sales and use report, we have, of course, we show the May 23 through the May 24. The May 24 deposit for the sales and use tax revenue was $9,379.24, which leaves a total allocation for 1 year plus 1 month at $106,532.98. Remember that 100% of this must go toward the roads. We have expenditures, a total of expenditures on our roads of $27,620.73. Our general fund balance, that leaves $44,735.07, and the road fund balance at $78,912.25. As a matter of reporting, you'll notice a couple months ago, the council approved, we got word that QuickBooks was transitioning and they were increasing their fee, and the council did approve, because we didn't know how it was going to all go down, the fee for another year was $649, But after looking into it, they were also going to charge a payroll fee that was gonna be an additional $414 on top of that. And then my experience with this kind of thing is with other accounting software is once they got you hooked in, then they just keep increasing. You're kind of hooked in and they increase it every year. And so in order to avoid that, Secretary Teresa was like, I like my QuickBooks. I just want the plain desktop version. I don't need all this other. And so since she's the primary user of that, I tried to respect her wishes. And we looked into it. So we looked at a few different programs. We found out that we could keep the current program that we have, the desktop version, and works perfectly fine. But for payroll, we can go to the Gusto plan, and it's $28 a month, and it has direct deposit included for that price. So for $336 a year, we're going to have a savings of $727 this year alone by going to Gusto, and then they can get direct deposit. And the secretaries are very happy with that, so.
So is it $28 a month or $45 a month?
It's $28 a month with the Gusto plan with, so, right, I know right here it said $40 a month, but that includes, that's their premium. We don't need the premium.
But the one above it's just a regular payroll core and it's $45 a month. Is there another one that we're not seeing?
Yeah, there's one that is, sorry, this sheet was about the only screenshot I could get. They have one that is like 20, it was $4, you weren't in that, Teresa was, it's $4 a month for each employee, and then it was $20 a month basic. So it was end up gonna be only $336 for the year, and it's very basic, it's less than this. So, anyway, it was less than the $649 just to upgrade, so we felt like after Teresa and I looked at it, we just felt like that was kind of a no-brainer. And they had great service. They called us already and we're setting up, and which is way better than what we've had in the past, so they have been really attentive. All right. Report 2, Secretary's Report, read by Ann Hamilton.
Okay, this part is from Secretary Teresa. She says our next Cape with Council is scheduled Tuesday, June 25th, 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Mayor Tara Sankovic and CM Fowler and CM Blake will be in attendance to meet with citizens. Don't hesitate to check your culverts for accumulated debris. May storms took a toll on some structures, power lines, and trees in our area. As the newsletter stated, Kaufman and Rockwell counties were included in a list of counties declared a disaster by Governor Abbott. If your property sustained structure damage, go to kaufmancounty.net under Emergency Management to input your information for potential assistance. And if anybody needs that address, and forget it, it will be up, it's up on our website under the agenda, the packet. You can find this, what I'm reading here, if you need that and don't have a way to write it down. She also says that she will be out of the office for the week of July 4th. Due to holiday town hall office closing July 4th, the office will be open July 3rd, 1 to 5 p.m. Then I added, just to note, that the donation box here in Town Hall for the Poetry Agricultural Scholarship. Right now, we've got it right in the front where you sign in. Any donations, big or small, is greatly appreciated and will go to help a worthy student pursue their college dreams. There is also a donation jar located at the registers of the TAC and Ag store. And since we won't be meeting again till July 1st, or till July, sorry, that's the end of July, I wish everyone a happy and safe 4th of July holiday.
Thank you, Secretary Ann. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. We have a minutes from May 30th, 2024. It's 6 pages. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion by Blake, seconded by Jaffe, to approve the minutes from May 30th. All those in favor? And that passes 4-0. Okay, we have the May legal bill. of $146.25. I know it's a little confusing on there, but it was only $146. The rest it gets posted later. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Blake, seconded by Anderson, to approve the legal bill of $146.25. All those in favor? And that passes 4-0. That's the lowest we've seen. All right, so we have the remainder of the TML insurance bill. So my apologies, this was, they sent an early statement that I thought was a bill, but it wasn't a bill, and so we got an early bird discount because we paid part of it, but the rest is due in $769.09. So, and that's just a little bit higher than last year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Blake, second by Anderson to approve paying the insurance bill. All those in favor? And that passes 4-0. We have the first engineering bill from an online meeting. It was 2 hours. That was the meeting that Councilmember Fowler and Councilmember Anderson had online with our new engineering firm to discuss lots of things dealing with the maps. That was $500. They did reduce that a little bit. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Blake, second by Anderson. All those in favor? And that passes 4-0. Okay, we have the SWIFT, the approval of the SWIFT ETJ petition. That also known as TES Big Rack Ranch. I think that it met the legal requirements based on some of the others that we have seen. That's why it's on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Blake, second by Jaffe, to approve that petition, ETJ petition removal. All those in favor? And that passes 4-0. Okay, moving on to the regular agenda. We received, discuss and consider action on all below. Number 1, the replat review for the Poetry Squares Estates. This is very small font, and some of this, I don't know, we had to ask for further information, but it's one property outside of our town proper. So it's right there on 2458. The 2 properties, there are 3 properties right outside in our ETJ. Any discussion on that?
So what are we doing with this? It's outside of our town? Are you asking for approval of the replat?
They are asking for us to approve the replat because it is in our ETJ.
And currently the county does all that everywhere else? You had that agreement with the county that they did all the plating.
Well, we don't have an official
Well, I'll put it this way,
1445
they've been
agreement.
doing it since the time we started.
But now that we have, but we don't have an official agreement, so we're just looking at this. They're letting us know if we weren't a town, we wouldn't be getting this, but we are, so. Do you have any comments on this, Nathan?
If it meets whatever requirements are imposed, we don't have a choice. You
Yeah.
shall approve.
I
But
guess
do
we're,
we have a need for action?
If it's on the agenda, it's harmless if we don't have the authority. If we do have the authority, then it makes a difference.
Where does this apply in any of our zoning ordinances or?
But we don't impose subdivision regulations. We haven't adopted it.
So what would we be approving then?
I've understood that we've had a 1445 agreement with, this is Kaufman County, is that right?
No, this is Hunt County. We don't have that with them. So they're wanting, because we don't have that official agreement, they need permission to do this.
Yeah, there really isn't any designated office for plat approval, so I can see why they'd be asking us.
Yeah.
If you don't approve it or if you table it, it'll be automatically approved.
It'll be automatic what?
It'll be
I think they
automatically-
want you to speak into the mic.
If you table it or don't act on it, it will automatically be approved within 30 days of its file date, no matter what. Is that coming across? I'll have to speak louder.
You're still hammering it out. Then you back off of it.
I don't have any problem, but we have any public
On
comment?
number one, Del Bryant? No comment, okay. I think it's just a formality. They want to know that we've seen it, and because we don't have a 1445 agreement, that's why it's here, I think.
And I don't have a problem with that either. Does anybody understand what this plat is, though?
I mean,
It is, oh, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, I see a diagram, but I've heard different stories of how many lots they wanna put in and what they're gonna do and all that.
They're actually increasing the size of the lots.
Yeah,
Well, my understanding, they're wanting to put a black line water tower there.
yeah.
So I think that would be good to tell everybody. I mean, if we're approving it, right?
Well,
Watertown?
we don't really have a choice. I mean, it's kind of a formality. My understanding is they're gonna do it anyway, but it's legally, because we don't have the 1445 agreement, which we hope to pass soon, if not tonight, that they have to run this through us.
I thought they were gonna build 30 or 40 houses in there, so they're gonna build 30 or
Not this
40
section.
houses around.
Not
This section's
this
going to
little piece.
Blackland Water. It's not elevated, it's just
Okay.
water storage. That's the Portree water line that has an easement.
Okay.
But they're buying 10 acres to put in Blackland Water. That's the story. I don't know that for sure. I don't know that it matters on this. It's replatting, and like you said, I can't even read to see what it says.
Oh,
So it's only two of the lots, I guess.
I made
one
it
and two.
larger
Extra big.
if you wanna read, what if you wanna sit and read it. I had to
At
do,
least you can expand it and it's legible.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't legible.
yeah. Well,
I just personally, I would rather not, because we don't even know what we're doing. If it's gonna go into effect per Berman in 30 days anyways, well then, let it happen.
Well, if I didn't bring it to council, I'd hear about it if we didn't do the proper
I think it's
thing.
more of
So-
informative. I
Yeah, it's
agree,
informative.
but I
So-
don't see an actionary item to it myself. Legal's here, I mean, he can tell us what
Can-
we're
can we
obligated to
just-
do.
We've informed everybody, and then,
I'm saying this a lot lately. Y'all can do whatever you want to do, except you can't deny it.
okay, that's not much of a choice. We're not denying it,
So
we're
we can
just
make a
not
motion
real
not to
excited
go
about it. Okay?
Not table it, just no action.
Just no action.
Thank you for that information. Moving on.
Okay, we're all informed now.
Yep. We're gonna have water tower.
Okay, all right, number 2. Okay, so the Bishop Field Mud petition, Secretary Teresa did receive paperwork. However, just yesterday, they sent an email saying they want us to rescind that paperwork. Today, they resubmitted paperwork because they said one of the exhibits was an error. So since Secretary Teresa was out sick, I received that today, this afternoon. The last time that they sent something, I asked because the survey that they sent was just the current survey. And I'm like, we want to know what is the future plan, right? And so finally at the third ask, I did receive it is a concept plan, but it doesn't have all the houses, but it does have, in very small font, it has the projected lot type summary. 40-foot by 120-foot lots, 617 of those. 50-foot by 120-foot, 970 of those. 60-foot,
How many?
50-foot by 120-foot, 970 of those. 60-foot by 120-foot, 177 of those. So the overall total proposed lots is 1,764. By my calculations, that's at least 4,600 inhabitants based on the Hunt County 2.6 persons per household. That is more than double our area. So I find this appalling and shocking and very disturbing.
I have a question, does it mean that the runway will be ripped up?
Yeah, well, the map that they show, I don't know if that's the runway. It doesn't designate it a runway.
that's not the runway.
It's gotta be straight.
It's just a straight spot.
I
right there.
imagine that it would. So this particular builder, developer, thinks that 1,764 lots will fit in this area.
Can you give it one more time, Tara, the lot size is 617 of what size?
The 40-foot by 120-foot,
Okay,
the 50-foot by 120-foot, 970.
70, okay.
The 60-foot by 120-foot, 177. But again, this map they sent us, the third ask, doesn't have not one put there, but in the little writing they have it here. So,
Well, kind of back to the earlier discussion, I mean, what jurisdiction do we have over something like this anyway? It's a petition, like we have to approve it, but my understanding was we don't have any, other than issuing a statement that we don't like mud districts, which we did a few months ago, I didn't think we had any jurisdiction.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We have limited jurisdiction, but for municipal utility districts that seek to be established and created within our extraterritorial jurisdiction, they must ask us for consent. And that's what that petition is doing. We don't have to give consent. We can decline. We can deny their petition. But if we do, we've got 90 days to act on it. And I think tonight's probably, given that it was just filed today, it's probably premature. But we've got 3 months to act on it. If we deny the petition, they then have the opportunity to go to the TCEQ, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and ask for consent from them to override our denial. We do have the authority to say no. It can be overridden. Now, if this were property within our territorial limits, we'd have an absolute right to say no. But because it's in our ETJ, we can say no, but it can be overridden.
Do we have to have grounds for telling them no?
Yeah, we don't like them. I mean,
That's about all we
I
need.
wanna say no and
That's about
heck
all we
no,
need,
you know? I wanna say no and heck no. This is,
No, I agree
This
with all
doesn't-
that, but in
yeah.
earlier conversations, when we're talking about zoning and all that, that if someone asked for a variance, we had the right to vote it yes or no, but we had to have a reason for telling them no.
well, variances are controlled by certain provisions of the local government code that have really fairly well-defined requirements.
Okay.
This one is a very broad, we have the right, they must get our consent by resolution or ordinance.
Okay, and this has to be approved by TCEQ regardless if we approve it or not. If we approve it, then the second step would be TCEQ, because they're the one that monitor the actual mud itself.
Different permitting process, but yes, they'll still have to go to the TCQ anyway, but a completely different type of process.
now with that said, in dealing with the TCEQ, I know that from the rock crushing, the crusher meetings that we've had, the state legislatures are gonna be reconsidering some of the TCEQ guidelines. TCEQ doesn't seem to have a lot of teeth to it to deny some of this, even though some of them I think would like to. So they're gonna be looking at that, was what we've been told by some of, the legislators who were in those meetings, that they want to give the TCEQ a little more authority than what they currently have to look at some of these. I mean, this could be devastating.
Now, the way I read it, I think it's both water and sewage, is that right? But nothing else.
Well,
Roads.
so
Well,
this,
okay,
yeah.
roads, yeah.
So with 4,600 new potential inhabitants, I mean, this could overwhelm our school systems, our water systems, our roadway systems, our security, police forces. It's too much too fast.
So you're saying all the things that I would like to see in a if we do deny it, like why, not just we don't like it, obviously, I know you're just kidding, but
Right.
but the taxation on our roads, because of the increased traffic, obviously infrastructure, but there's so much of that stuff that you can't stop anyways that happens in the city. The increase, I mean, schools are passing school bonds all the time because developers are loading their pockets.
Right.
But with just a simple denial, I think it needs a reason, if that's just taxation of our roads or whatever.
No, I completely get it, and you're right, I was just kidding when I said for any reason.
Well,
But we do have good reasons. I mean, obviously, the protection of our community and the defense and protection of our own infrastructure, but we're not gonna act on this tonight. It is my strong advice, I don't give orders, I just give advice, that we do not act on this tonight. This is something that we need to talk about next month, the month from now. We need more information anyway.
Well,
There's this-
we don't have the right document, right? I mean, we just.
Right.
We just got it.
But I guess, to me, and most of this would be going in and out of 2434, and it's already overloaded.
I can't
And
imagine
so-
how you're gonna get that
so-
many cars down that road.
Well, that's my point. Why would we would I be against it? Well, first of all, we don't have capacity as it is on 2434.
Right.
So this is adding to something that's already a problem and at keeping up. And then secondly, we don't have police, fire, or anything else. Are they proposing that they're gonna provide that?
No.
No.
Well,
So we're
some,
not-
some MUDs do, but,
They'd have to be a PID then.
but I know I just talked to Commissioner Monroe. Now, this is a side, yeah, but Commissioner Monroe, I sent him the documents because I was talking to him a little bit about it. And he said they will support our denial of this any way they possibly can. They have seen where the MUDs are taxing their already taxed sheriff deputies to the hilt. And it's not fair.
And they don't contribute any.
And they don't, and that's the whole thing. There's nothing they contribute. They don't contribute anything. Now, they did,
Well, they do pay property taxes too.
To the
to
county
Hunt
and-
County.
To the county, which goes, that's the police force in this area. That's the local jurisdiction having authority. I mean, they do pay.
But I guess the other one is, it looks to me like this is a multifamily housing, is it not?
I don't,
It's
It's
very
your
dense, it's a very dense,
Very
single-family
dense.
residential.
Well, it sure is
looks like
close.
it's
Yeah.
four houses per
It's
acre
just not
or
up high,
so.
it's just,
Four
but yeah.
houses per acre. Now, I did notice, and I did drive by yesterday, they have, there's some feedback. Is that fixable? Okay, okay, thank you. They did get an easement, and apparently they bought it in 2022, I believe. An easement of 50 feet that goes right into CR 2440, and I'm assuming that's an access driveway. So not only is it gonna be taxing 2434, but also 2440. And my heart goes out to all these people on 2440. This is in their backyard, literally, in their backyard.
And that part is in the town proper. Part of it.
The easement
Easement goes-
is,
yes.
and so I don't know if there's anything we can do with that, but,
And they don't have it in their description. In the first description, they referenced part of that property in the estates, but I don't read descriptions, so our engineers would really have to confirm what's there. But the second description that she just showed me that they got today is totally different. And even the map they sent, I don't think reflects the description they had, because this is the map she asked for the first description.
well, the map that they sent with the document today was illegible.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't even read it. Even if they sent it digitally, and I tried to scroll out like you can do on the computer, and it
Yeah.
still was illegible, like it was gibberish. I couldn't. Anyway,
Is there anything, David, that we as a town can put in place so that years from now, when they abandon this thing and quit taking care of it and all of that? I mean, I'm sure the homeowners are gonna be all over them, but I guess other than health and safety violations, I mean,
well, given that this is all in our ETJ and we have very limited regulatory authority, we're limited to imposing subdivision regulations and maybe some nuisance regulations, which are very few and far between. There's not much we can do. We can't, I'd like to say, why don't we just put a gate across the roadways that separate the town from this development, but we can't do that.
well, someone was mentioning, why don't we have a toll on each of our roads? And can we do that?
No. We're not totally authority.
No.
No, but in answer to the question, Mike, there really isn't very much we can do at all.
Yeah.
ETJ, and we're just a general town.
so are they gonna come to us to approve their plating, whatever?
Or the county.
The county, if we get an
It's
agreement.
all in Hunt County, I presume.
But
Yeah,
Hunt
it's-
County is also opposed to this, and so we can send a message, look, we are against this, and you go take it up with TCEQ, and then the citizens can raise up. And they can have a voice, and so now,
Well, I'd like
I
to see us
think-
partner with Hunt County to the extent possible on the plating, the size of the lots and the layouts and everything else, so we can be as in their business as possible to make sure that they're not stacking too many in there.
Yeah.
creating-
And that's
Well,
the next
you
item
think
on
about the
agenda.
watershed problem going into Simmons Creek, I mean, there's people that live, that's their backyard. Now all this water's gonna be coming off these roads, there's lots of things that they don't give us any information that we can make any kind of decision on. I mean, I know what my decision is regardless of the information they give me, but I can't raise concerns with them because they're not telling us what they're
If
doing.
in 10-acre estates, that'd be one thing.
Yeah.
These are cracker box.
Right, they're not, they don't fit with the area. Now, we have development, like Randy Verde, but their acreage is 2 to 5 to 10 acre lots, which fits in our area. This does not fit in our area, in my opinion, and I feel like, it's maybe a little unconventional, but I feel like we should pray for this owner and this developer that they would grow a conscience that this is not thinking about one's neighbor, and that we need to, do whatever we can, and maybe we reach out to our Texas legislature. They're the ones that have given mud districts all this authority and power, and sadly, I think a lot of it is based on the dollar, but. But I feel like this development could make quite a bit of money if they did larger lots even. Our land is valuable. It's gone up to as much as $100,000 an acre. So I feel like they could make quite a bit of money even with larger lots, which wouldn't tax all of our infrastructures and our systems in this area. But
So I guess first it says, Mindy Koenig, I think, attorney with Rose wanted to address the council. But I guess since they made the change, that's not gonna happen at this point.
And she can't answer any questions from what I found out.
Well, I guess that's my next question is,
She
who
doesn't,
are these folks that are coming in? And what's their history and experience? In other words,
you mean the developer or the?
yeah, and the people, I mean, obviously, the people who own it are not developing it.
So Ben Pogue is the owner or the manager, and then the developer is a man, Ray Eckenrode is the developer. Ray Eckenrode, it's Eckinroad, like it sounds, Eckenrode. And so he bought his partner out a couple years ago and took over
So is
this
it local or
development.
international or?
I believe he's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Well, I guess that's down to, just out of curiosity, I'd like to see what they're building in other places. Because if that's their specialty, they're gonna replicate what they already know how to do.
Right. That's a good point.
So,
Yeah.
Do we know they're not tiny homes? I mean, I'm baffled as to how you get any kind of a house on a 40 by 120.
it sure smells like multifamily
Double wide
housing.
wouldn't fit on it. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we're used to space out
it
here.
sounds
It
like
just-
tiny homes. It doesn't sound like normal homes.
These are zero lot lines.
Zero
Lots that-
lot
Yeah,
lines.
lots that size, at least the smaller ones, are pretty close to zero lot line homes.
When you say 0 lot line, like 5 feet, like we currently have?
No, we're not talking setbacks here, we're talking
Touching each other
separate walls,
practically.
but this far away.
Well, ours is 5 feet on the setback.
No, zero lot line means nominal
That's
setback.
completely
Well, I
different.
guess one of the questions I had was, is this multifamily, is this a manufactured housing or constructed housing? Is it, the only way you could get a lot of those in there is
It'll be-
manufactured housing,
it'll-
that we ought to know.
It'll be spec homes.
I did talk with the former, so his former partner, who I talked with a couple years ago, I still had his number, I talked with him just the other day on this subject, and he said he has never done a mud. I think they went their separate ways because he doesn't do muds. And he just said that, look, the way they'll do this is they'll have the development, and each section they'll have a different builder because it's so many. And that's the way they do it.
He's just, this developer is here just to cut the subdivision, install infrastructure, issue bonds, and impose taxes. And then he'll sell lots or blocks to individual builders.
In an area with no building code or plumbing code or, so you know the.
Hunt
so you-
County
County is
subdivision,
lax.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are
Hunt-
we to
Yeah.
understand they're gonna spend $100 million
No.
building the mud district?
Well, they get it from the government grant, I think.
No,
and
the
then
new figure that came today is 140 million
140 million on
For the-
infrastructure.
That's
for the bonds, for the building.
bonds for the water, roads,
And then,
Sewer,
and then
yeah.
they charge unbeknownst to the new owners, the
They'll charge
occupants, they
taxes
charge
till
the taxes
for-
to get
forever.
that back, yeah. And
Because
with the
even
high
when they-
interest, I don't know how all
Even
that's
when they
gonna
pay it off,
sell.
they'll keep charging it to maintain it.
And then some of these muds are becoming rental units too,
coming what?
becoming rental units, because
Yeah.
not many
Oh.
people can buy with the
Oh.
high interest rates or want to buy with the high
Yeah.
interest rates. Anyway, it's kind of a mess.
So there's no reason to take action in this one because they withdrew their.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that the council and even citizens really brush up on the mud and what we can possibly do and any creative ideas, and let's really get, well versed on that and see what we can do on that. Dale Bryant?
Dale Bryant, poetry. If you need a little help with the muds, I've got some experience with muds. You know, all the muds down in Houston back in the 90s, I dealt with most of those. One thing we should be taking an approach on this is to get a group together and get organized and make a presentation to the county commission. They're going to approve the plat, I'm assuming, correct?
No, sir,
The county's not going to approve the plat?
they said pending whatever poetry wants to do. They're opposed to
Okay,
it.
then let's get organized and sit down with them. I mean, guys, just like the deal on Poetry Road, I mean, at a minimum, let's talk to them about ingress, egress. You know, a right-hand turn lane and left-hand, you know, a right-hand decel turn lane and a left-hand turn, just on the roads. If you just get that, if you could accomplish that, be far better than what we have on Poetry Road with D.R. Horton. I mean, look at things like that is what you need to, I mean, at this stage, yes, we don't have anything in place, but we can go to it. What about parks? Is there a park there?
Probably
Hey,
not.
guys, developers, you know, we'll work with you. Let's
That'd
talk
be a
about some,
PID.
you know, decel lanes and turn lanes, and let's maybe broaden the road, and, you know, just at your areas, and maybe, you know, give us a park in the subdivision. You know, at least you gotta start somewhere, you get something out of it, because you're right, they're gonna do what they wanna do, but a developer's still going to want to be a good neighbor. And so it'd be an excellent opportunity, I've been there, done that, I'm just telling you, it's an excellent opportunity to come in there and ask for a few things, work with them, because we can't stop them, let's get what we can get out of it, that's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Kevin Sinkovich?
Kevin, Poetry, Texas. Anything that you can give us on who we can contact, who, you know, if you can, Secretary of the Council can give us, contact people. I know the Crusher had a lot of representatives and folks that we could write to. Give us some guidelines. Let's mobilize and see if we can,
Can we put that on the website?
I believe so. Can we do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
citizens can help there. And then,
No, that's a great point. So absolutely, let's, you know, write our state legislature, you know, to not only change the mud rules, but to, you know, allow TCEQ a little more teeth. And then, you know, show that this is transformative to a little bitty town. And, you know, let's see what we can do with that. Angela Paxton, you know, Senator Jill Dutton, Brent Money. You know, Brent Money will be taken over in January. He is our representative in this area. And then, of course, Keith Bell, all of
email
those.
addresses, phone numbers,
Okay.
and to answer Mike's question, on where we end up in 10 years, that's where Windmill Farm ends up now. Section 8 housing all over the place.
In high crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, but as somebody said earlier, I feel too for the people that have bought property up and down that road thinking they're gonna live in the country. And
Yeah, they're in
about
the
to
city.
live in the middle of the city, and it's like, you know, you'd like it to be like zoning where you have to post a sign out there that says, hey, coming soon. You know, factory, whatever.
Well, Mike, I even have a greater concern is that, you know, they're copycats, builders are. And if they see that this works on this one, the Bishop Field, there's other ETJs out there that they're gonna go after because they say it works, you know, it's desirable and got a lot of the things that they need. So if this one works, there's gonna be more coming.
Well, I think we need to put some of this emotional energy that's in poetry to
Well-
good use.
Well, yeah, I agree because I see this longer term
Yeah.
being even a bigger issue than this poetry, Bishop Field.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Any more
Could I
comments?
interject?
Sure.
We do have the ability, and I'm just saying this, I know that there's going to be no support for this at all, but it was mentioned earlier, we do have the ability to negotiate an agreement with the developer. whereby we would give consent under certain conditions. State law says we can, if we do that, impose street construction standards and specifications, and impose conditions on the bonds that they will certainly be issuing, to the point where we cannot impose conditions that render the bonds unmarketable. Other than that, it is not unusual for cities to negotiate when they can't stop the mud from setting up. And if it's not grossly inconsistent, this one is just way too inconsistent with surrounding properties, but if it's not that bad, then, things like requesting that they voluntarily annex into the town's limits, that's an option. Requesting that they, oversize water lines or sewer lines, that make it available to town residents. There are some benefits that we might be able to get that I don't believe would come close to outweighing the detriments. But you do need to know that we do have the authority to negotiate something with them.
If we deny it and it goes to the TEQC and they approve it and we didn't negotiate anything, is our time to negotiate gone?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Well, I guess I was asking who the developer is, Tar, because to me, there's a story, I say they're copycats. They've done this before other places. What were the results? What do the people in the area think? I doubt that this is their first rodeo.
No, since I have already talked with his former partner, I had a call in to Ray Eckenrode. He didn't call me back yet. I'm gonna keep calling and see if I can get a hold of him.
Can you spell his last name again?
It's in my phone here.
Okay.
Maybe I'll have
We
them.
can post the developers' names on our website, as well
Can
as
we?
their cell numbers if we have them,
We can?
their home addresses if we've got it,
Okay,
whatever information our public might want to know about them.
okay.
Okay, well, I guess because that's one of the things I was wanting to think of. Everything's public these days with the internet, so it's not hard to find out, to trace people, to see what they've done other places, what the reactions are, and where they've done it, and what's happened with it. In other words, have they filed for bankruptcy? If anything
Right.
really negative happened?
That's a
what?
really good
And then
point.
that would be a reason for the TECQ or anybody else to say, hey, if there's been a problem, it needs to be made public. So, because they are copying each other, they're copying what they've done before. So I guess, once I had those names, I would like to do some looking, find out can I actually find out about their history?
Constable, do you have any input on dealing with mud districts?
I think he polices at one.
Well, it's,
Well, considering that I work with mud districts all in precinct 2, and mud districts have basically taken over. There are plus and negative to mud districts. I will tell you that the mud districts can pay for all your law enforcement, first responders, at no cost to you.
But that's in the mud,
That's in the mud district.
but not outside the mud.
Right.
Yeah.
I would recommend, before this thing kicks off, if you want to control the zero lot line and the type of individuals that come in, Poetry implement a housing authority quickly. Because that will control what type of individuals come in. If you do not have a housing authority here,
I have read that.
you can't control it. Once the houses go up, individuals, companies from all over California will come in and buy 30, 40, 50 homes and make them housing.
Like HUD housing, Section 8?
Yes. So you can set your housing authority up within the city of Poetry, get it approved and passed, and then you can say, we only allow 25 homes, or 10 homes, or 5. You can also set standards up saying that if you purchase a house, that house has to be in your name and you have to maintain it for 5 years before you can rent it. There's a lot of things that you can do to control what's coming. I'm sorry, you can't stop the tsunami. Mud districts
water districts, they have money beyond.
Well, unless the Texas State Legislature turns it upside down, which there's talk of doing that.
There's talk.
There's talk. So they meet spring of 2025. So,
Way off.
yeah.
Attorney Berman, can we do any housing thing in the ETJ?
We might be better talking about that issue in an executive session. But
Yeah.
a housing authority will not give us control over regulation of property that the housing authority doesn't own. Or outside of our city limits, yeah. But it doesn't give control over land unless it owns it.
So I did, one thing that David Monroe, Commissioner Monroe said was that Caddo had a similar situation with a MUD, and they did negotiate some things, you know, wasn't pleasant for them, but they at least got some of what they wanted. So I will be talking further with Caddo and see what they did, but again, I'm a believer in prayer, and I just keep praying that, that maybe they'll grow a heart. But, you know, I'm not gonna hold my breath, but I'm hopeful. So anyway, this developer is Ray Eckenrode. It's
Slowly, please.
Yes, sir. ECKINROAD.
ECKIM.
IN is in Nancy.
ROAD.
Yes, that's how I was told. Okay. 972-562-9988.
So if we talk about this later in executive session, can we talk about what we're gonna talk about next month? Is that okay to do?
In an executive session.
What do you mean?
Can I talk about, would you have a list of all the possible scenarios that?
We'll know more. We'll have more research and
Because
we'll know more.
they don't have, I don't have enough information in what they've given us to,
I understand.
you know, to do anything, but is that enough time? Or does it need to be 2 months out, or, you know,
We're still on the MUD district?
MUD district, yeah.
Yeah, we'd talk about putting on a future agenda. I don't know if next month is gonna be enough time or not. We've got 3 months, and so 90 days from now, so.
From today.
You know, my suggestion is that you guys may wanna, a lot can happen in a couple of months.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is that you consider placing it on the agenda in August, and then we revisit the issue then. We'll have a better idea, we'll know.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you a couple of things that you guys do need to be aware of. If and to the extent that you approach legislators regarding this, and the legislature will be meeting in January of the next year, in about 6 months from now, we may be able to get legislative support for changing statutes pertaining to MUDs. I do believe, and this is just me saying so, that the legislature will probably revise and effectuate Senate Bill 2038, the ETJ release bill. I believe in, Tara, correct me if I'm wrong, but this property was the subject of an ETJ release petition that we denied because they could not comply with technical requirements of the
Right.
statute.
That's correct.
And if the legislature continues with the trend that it's been on for the past half a dozen or more legislative sessions over the period of a decade and a half, my guess is gonna be that this time they'll actually sit down and read it and then fix what's broken. And if they do, then the owner of this property can have it taken out of our ETJ entirely, which gives us absolutely no regulatory authority at all. They can wave to us all day long and we can do nothing about it. So if you have communications with legislators, you may want to say leave 2038 alone. Let the lawsuit work its way through the court system.
I think it was in the court this week, so I haven't heard the results yet, but.
You know, Tara, to David's point, we've got 90 days. I think my thought would be before a lot of hostility sort of gets fired up and they start feeling that opposition, that we sit down in a genuine posture, just have a conversation with them and just say, listen, this is a big deal for our town, okay? We'd like to understand what you're trying to do and what you might be willing to do. We're not saying this would get us to approve it, but what you would be willing to do to kind of help the town, whatever, and just, you know, don't mislead them and say, if you do it, we'll approve it. Just say, we just want to talk. 90 days is a long time
yeah.
to talk. We could get a lot of discussion, a lot of insight.
That was
'Cause again,
absolutely my idea,
You and I went
yeah.
to that Kaufman County thing, Tara, a year ago, when we heard about the Section 8 housing and how Dallas
is pushing these people into towns like Kaufman and others unsuspecting. And you see something like this, and one paranoid scenario could be that's exactly what they're gonna try to do, is bleed the government by setting up a bunch of government housing that's conveniently located in one big 400-acre square and then just fill it up. You know, because we're defenseless, we can't stop it, you know, we can't do it. So I don't know, it'd be good just to kind of, if we talk with them enough, they're gonna finally admit to what they're really doing, if they don't come right out with it.
Well, and I like Tom's point is, hey, they've built elsewhere, let's see what they have already done, and it would give us a kind of an idea of what they have in mind.
So can we task, I know you said you want to be in it, but maybe one other council member be a part of that little group that.
Well, if he'll answer my phone call, I mean, I have talked with him in the past, but
We're talking with Monroe and just all the little incidental conversations that are gonna build into, you know, whatever we come up with. Because I think if we start off with what appears to be an attack, they're gonna start off with
Yeah.
what appears to be closed doors and
Strong
moats, and nothing's gonna happen, so. And we can tell them, listen, we're not a fan. I mean, that's what I would say. I'd say, you know, I'm not a fan. I like it being a big old wore-out airport, but, you know, I get it. You're here to make money, but let's talk. You know,
Right.
What do we do? Well, at least tell us what's going on, what they've done, their history, what their plans are. Right now, we don't really know anything.
What I'd like to know is how many thousands of dollars are they planning on making on each home? If it's four homes per acre, then could they make just as much money selling the land in a pristine location? You know, it's going for up to $100,000 an acre. If they built a little upper scale home, can they make as much selling, you know, maybe a little acreage with in more of an upscale home?
Well, their smallest lot is 1/10 of an acre.
Yeah.
10 houses almost per acre.
But those homes are gonna go for probably, what, 250,000? I mean, so are they making, I'd like to know what they plan on making on that home.
Well, it'd be interesting to know kind of this, maybe in Tom's area, he seems to be good at that. It's like, where's this money coming from?
You know,
Who are their backers? Is it out of New York? Is it, you know, old money? Is it what?
Yeah.
Is it government money?
No, they'll be issuing bonds. The way that works, and the structure is not unusual. It's same thing with public improvement districts. They'll borrow money, they'll have bonds issued. The bonds will be used to reimburse the developer for the vast majority of all of the costs of installing the infrastructure. The bonds themselves are secured against the real estate. The premiums are paid by assessments made or ad valorem taxes imposed against the land. So long as the developer is selling the property, he won't be paying ad valorem taxes, and he will not be paying the bonded indebtedness. It's a way of borrowing money without actually having to pay for it.
Yeah, no risk.
Well, the risk is if you can't sell the lots, you know, now honestly, you know, this territory is not near any major interstate highway or major state highway. Access is really through farm to market roads. There is grossly, or county roads even better. There really isn't very much in the way of government infrastructure to support them. The only thing that they have out there really is access to the floodplain over there, and I don't know what good that's going to do them unless there's a major sewage treatment line going through it. There is really not much governmental infrastructure that would serve a project like this. The project doesn't make any sense at its current location. Somewhere else maybe, but nobody around here provides water service other than regional districts. There is no sanitary sewer service. And if they're relying on the county for law enforcement and fire protection, can you imagine if you bought a house in there? I mean, they may be able to deceive a handful of people into buying, but these people are going to be lied to. There's no way that this location can accommodate something of this scale. So, and I think you're right. If we get aggressive with them up front, then they'll lock down and close their doors. So therefore, it probably would not be a good idea to invite Mr. Eckenrode to a council meeting for public purposes and let the public have their say, because I've seen that happen too. That'll get them really, really angry.
Right, I mean, I know that Tom's had a lot of experience with negotiation, and he was awesome with some of the negotiation we've done in the past, but I don't know if he's willing to do some of that.
Well, I guess today, with the internet being what it is, and Intellis and, you know, Truth Finder and the different ways, any of us people can find out anything as long as we're over 18 about our history, our criminal history, anything we've done, lawsuits we've been in, it's all public records. So, to me, you know, there's a certain amount you can do just once we have all of then make sure we know who they are, to find out, okay, what have they done, what's their history, did they have legal, have they had lawsuits, have they had any kind of criminal activity against them, or any kind of charges? And then on top of that, what kind of, where they have built houses or things like this, what has been the response? Did they go belly up after a few years, or what? Because I think what Mr. Berman said is exactly right. They're looking, and I saw this because I saw a little bit of it in Sunnyvale, which you know, is that when you come in to do that, you can get the government money, so to speak, and then you can kind of roll it into the new people coming in. And if there's anybody that takes a risk, it's the government. It's not them. And these guys that do it, because we saw it in Sunnyvale, they have a history of doing it all over the U.S. When they build mud districts, that's their specialty. I mean, Dale may know more about it than me, but they do have a history of where they built mud districts before and what's happened there, as well as the developers. So there's two sides. The difference is today, we've got the internet, and we can do an awful lot of looking ourselves without having to go out and, you know, drive around and knock on doors.
So Mike, would you be interested in being a part of that as well?
Yeah, I mean, Tom and Terry are kind of tied up on the mapping stuff right now, and I don't want to over-obligate them, so yeah, I think Jonathan and I or Simeon right along with you and just kind of be in those conversations. And
I'll do it if you want me to do it, I'll do it.
yeah,
I don't mind.
I just, again, I think we ought to have those conversations.
Simeon, do you have any
Absolutely.
input?
No, that was the plan. Is he there?
Is he still there?
Simeon?
He's taking a nap right now.
Did it phone
It's not
lock?
like him.
I was wondering if it locked.
It's not like him.
Is he still there?
I
don't know.
I don't know. It says Simeon.
Says so.
Maybe he's on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. I was on mute. Can you hear me now?
Pretend like you don't hear him. No, we can't hear you.
So,
Did you have any interest in being part of that?
we can have
What'd you
two.
say?
We can have two council
We
members
can have
on
two
that.
council members. Would you like to join me in working with the mayor on this project?
Sure. Of course, I won't be physically available for a little while, but absolutely, whatever I can lend from a distance, and then
Yeah.
once I get back, then I'll help out any way I can.
Well-
let's start out with you and I.
Okay.
And if, I know that, yeah, okay.
And then if there's activities that can be sort of delegated out, research, whatever, we can reach out.
Well,
to
any
others.
research
you have to
that
pick one.
anyone has, then we would definitely, please email it to us. That would be, anything you have would be helpful. We are all ears and open to whatever someone has, an idea, creative idea. Okay,
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we got the public forum, right? Is so that we can still communicate
that's a,
in a big group like this. So, I mean, we can really all contribute to this, hopefully.
But being mindful of, they can read the public forum too.
yeah, well,
Yes.
Not that we're hiding anything, we just don't want to have all.
Well, that goes to his point about talk about some things in executive session. Yeah.
okay. All right, so are we ready to move on?
Okay, so just to be clear, so you and I, Tara, will join together in these conversations with the developer if he ever calls us back, with David Monroe, with anybody else that we figure out as a part of this. It's
Sure.
interesting to see, to Tom's point, are there any other public filings they've done relative to this possible development? I don't know where else they would have to record or file something. The county would certainly be one.
Where would we find a history of where they've done developments?
I think you could probably do a search if I
Good luck with that. If you know where they've been in the past, you can check with counties over there. But short of that, maybe TCQ might have list of permits that have been issued to entities that this individual is behind. See, the problem is that, for for most real estate transactions, developers are gonna set up a corporation, and it's different corporations on a per project basis. And even then, there'll be layers of corporate, limited partnerships and corporations to shield them from, it's not to hide or to be secret about it, it's really to protect them from individual liability and their own personal assets. But the structure is typically done in multiple layers. So even if the TCEQ were willing to give you a list of all permits for all MUDs in the past 10, 20 years, and there's probably going to be a lot of them, you wouldn't know for sure whether any of them, whether this individual was behind any of them, unless you actually did the next set of research. It's a whole lot of, holy cow, a lot of work.
Yeah. Would his former partner have some insight? Maybe he would share?
That's why he's a former.
Well, I mean,
Well,
Maybe.
that's the best source of information is an ex-spouse or a disgruntled employee.
well, even if he knows of one another instance,
Yeah.
that would be,
But even still, I mean, whether they've had successful MUDs or not, it doesn't tell us whether we should or shouldn't deny this petition. We've got other reasons, even if he's, if he's doing better than Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, we're still, this is just, anyway.
Okay. Moving on to number 3, item 3. So after last month's meeting, I talked to Attorney David Berman regarding the 1445 agreement, and he said, you shall, according to Texas state law, you shall pass this. It's not optional. We must pass this. Secondly, if we don't, it allows developers a loophole. And so we need to firm that loophole up. And so that's why we have, I think Attorney Berman wrote the one from Hunt based similarly, I think, off the one on Kaufman, and then the Rockwall one was one that Judge New's office sent to us. So we do need to get this passed. And it's not really something that is optional, so.
So, one of the points made by some of the citizens in the past, David, has been that, the fact that we lie in 3 different counties sort of puts this weird burden on the citizens that one end of the city might be treated differently than the other end of the city by the fact that they're in a different county. And is there any way that we could kind of level that out? Of course,
We're already treated differently.
There is a way, but this 1445 agreements will only apply to ETJ territory, not to any territory within our city limits. If you wanted a uniform set of regulations to be applicable to all ETJ territory, regardless of the county, then what we would have to do would be to, number 1, adopt our own set of subdivision regulations, and then number 2, negotiate 1445 agreements with each of the counties that give us the exclusive authority over subdivision and plat review and approval. The other option, because we don't have any of the stuff in place for it, is the statute simply gives us 4 choices. Number 1, it says counties and cities shall enter into these kinds of agreements, these interlocal agreements. We're required to have these. And there are 4 choices. The one that's most common is for most cities in urban and suburban areas, the city will have exclusive authority over subdivision regulation, and the county will have no plat authority at all. But in this territory, we can do 1445 agreements and have each county be responsible, be the sole office for plat reviews, applications, reviews, and approvals. I guess we could ask Kaufman County if they'd be willing to apply Hunt County's regulations, or vice versa. To be honest with you,
My understanding is Kaufman has the strictest of
I was gonna say,
these areas.
Why don't we
I was gonna say,
just-
to be honest with you, my preference would be that we have a 1445 with Rockwall and Hunt that says that they'll apply Kaufman County's regulations. Not likely that they'd do that because they're not familiar with it,
Right.
they're not fixed for it. And so what I'm gonna suggest is, and we probably need to get this done pretty soon, even given the fact that we've got ETJ, potential development on our ETJ, that, you know, our 1445 agreements, each of these counties will have their own forms that they like to use, that we consider approving 1445s with each of the three counties, giving each of those counties exclusive authority over subdivision, plat review, and approval, but give us the authority to have not just notice, but some secondary approval authority as well. That's a little bit problematic, because if a plat application isn't acted on within 30 days, it's deemed to be approved by operational law, regardless of what our interlocal says. But I think it's in our best interests to at least ask the county in our interlocal agreements to give us notice and an opportunity to provide some input on the process.
Well, because again, to my comment, I mean, if each of these counties has different standards, and I expect that they would, somebody living in the Kaufman County part of Poetry might suddenly end up with a 3-story apartment complex in the ETJ territory close to them, whereas that might not be allowed in Hunt County. I'm just making those up.
No, it's worse than that. It's somebody in our ETJ in Hunt County might be able to build substandard structures and not comply with international building codes, but somebody building the same kind of structure in Kaufman County will be required to. It is uneven, but this is our ETJ. The only other option is we adopt our own set of regulations.
We're not,
And
we're not.
they are complicated and very long.
What is
we're
the
not at that
duration of
place
this?
to do
Is
that.
this forever, or can it be canceled for convenience?
Automatically renews annually. We can cancel if we want to, but we'd have to renegotiate.
So I've got two questions for you, Mr. Berman. It's not just about plating. There's other responsibilities that the builder, to your point, fire code, building permits, and the building code and all that.
Whatever we can impose within our ETJ. We
We can't
cannot,
oppose any building.
we cannot impose
Codes
building
right now.
codes in our ETJ. Thank you, Texas Legislature.
Okay, so we can't right now.
We
So
cannot.
they were taken in by our vote to incorporate. They were included into our ETJ, and we say we can offer them protection, but now we're going to put stricter restrictions on them that's in our than the citizens in our city who have no regulation.
It's already there, though.
No, the county can't come in and do it without our approval.
Well, they already are, though. I mean, they're doing it
Mr.
by
Berman,
default.
Can the county come into ETJ and enforce building codes without our approval?
In our ETJ.
In our ETJ?
Yes.
So then what's the need for a 1445 agreement then?
We shall.
If it's in our
But
ETJ.
I want to get to that. If we shall, we didn't shall in 41.002. You asked me what the remedies were for it if we didn't.
All right, if we do not, let's use a hypothetical scenarios. We have a tract of land in our ETJ in Kaufman County. We don't have an interlocal with Kaufman County for subdivision review and approval. You with me so far?
Yes, sir.
There is confusion there. I'm not quite sure. I mean, we're not going to be enforcing any subdivision regulations and building codes because we simply don't have any.
That's correct.
I don't know what Kaufman County's gonna do. I don't know if the county would continue to insist on it, notwithstanding the lack of a 1445 agreement, or if they would simply say, we don't have an interlocal with Poetry, and you're not in the county, you're in an ETJ, and you're on your own.
Yeah, just because they're doing it doesn't mean it's correct on what they're doing.
They do a lot of,
Exactly.
did I say that out loud? Kaufman County does a lot of things that,
I agree. I mean, I guess that's my. You wasn't here last time. That's kind of where I have not a problem. I want all these houses to be built on better building codes, better fire codes, and all that. But we are truly, by signing this, we may be making it more difficult for our ETJ than our citizens have, and they had no.
It's not making it more difficult.
Sure.
No,
We
because
have no building code right here.
There's a remedy.
What's the building
in
code?
in Poetry,
What's the building code
well,
right
hang
here?
on. In Poetry, there is no building code. But right now, if you step outside of the town boundary of Poetry, you're instantly
That's the
in ETJ or the county. If you're not in the ETJ, you are subject to their regulations.
To the county, I would
To
agree.
the counties.
I don't agree with you on the ETJ. I think they're overstepping their
Well,
power.
There's still a remedy,
But
though.
we're still talking about in the city limits.
No,
What is the building code? What's
There-
the fire code? What is any of this? We don't have one.
so that is an advantage to some.
They got to vote on it. These people are the ones we're talking about that didn't get a vote, but y'all are wanting to make it harder on those.
We're not making it harder, Terry. It's already happening. It's already happening, and I
Is
mean,
it
it's,
legally happening? Could those people in
By
ETJ
def-
tell the county, no, you don't have jurisdiction
by
there"?
default, but again, it's the state law we have to do this by state law. You guys are all about getting a new map by state law. This is a state law that we have to do this.
But to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure Coppin County has the legal authority to require building permits in the first place, but they do.
Yeah.
And they have for years and years.
Correct.
And until some court says that they don't have that authority, or the legislature makes it clear,
Someone fights them.
then they're gonna keep on doing it. From our perspective, though, our conversation really needs to be not whether we should have an interlocal at all, because the law doesn't really give us that choice. Our conversation really should be limited to whether or not we want to do one of those four choices. Number one, delegate that responsibility to the county. Number two, assume it ourselves exclusively with our own set of subdivision regs. Or number three, come up with a unified set of regulations. Or number four, ask Hunt and Rockwall if they'll enforce county subdivision regs in our ETJ territories. That make sense?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I understand the point, and I get it, but
The subdivision regulations, I mean, that's a no-brainer. We just talked about it for an hour on Bruce Fairfield. That's basically what we're discussing. And I thought we'd already had the discussion that by us not having one, they were the authority having jurisdiction on subdivision plating.
the reason why that law exists is because there was historically confusion. Both counties and cities, both of them would impose their own sets of regulations on ETJ territories, or one would and the other wouldn't sometimes, and then they'd swap out. So the reason why the law exists, the reason why it's mandatory to have the interlocal at all is to make it clear for development purposes, one set of regulations and one permitting authority.
And that's what I'm hearing from the counties when they email me, okay, we're unclear on what to do here. We need you to approve this, disapprove this, something. So we really do need this because it is a big question. They're confused. And it is state law that we do this. We're under state law. I don't think anyone at this table is intentionally wanting to break state law. So
I got some questions. Did we not do these agreements when we first incorporated before my time?
we talked about doing them, but then they
were
kicked
on
the
a lot of
can down the
agendas.
road. It's been on the agenda at least 4 times.
All right, you understand that I think really although the agenda language itself isn't crystal clear, we can't just simply approve an agreement tonight because the other party hadn't agreed to it, you know what I mean? So
And this needs to be cleaned up.
I think the process would be for council to give direction to negotiate proposed interlocals with each of the 3 counties. And then,
You wrote the Hunt
Yeah,
County one,
the-
right?
I didn't write it, I just simply reviewed it.
Reviewed it.
And I really, I think Simeon said that he liked it. I
So-
really like it too.
So we did spend quite a bit of time, at least on one of the agendas, that this was on, in looking at some of the details of this, and we did, and I think Simeon and, had fine tuned, didn't you, Simeon? Is he still on mute? And then,
But you like Hunt County the best, right?
Yeah. They're all substantially similar.
Yeah.
I understand that. But, you know, the most important thing from our perspective is making sure that we have some, either notice or some say-so in the process.
And they're different between at least Rockwall County and Coffin County. Some says they will make sure, and other one's like, well, if we don't, sorry.
Yeah, no,
That's,
no, I
I'm
know.
afraid Green Rockwell doesn't mention fire.
so can we go through, I mean, we've already been, like I said, we've been through at least the Hunt and Kaufman at length before, and I feel like
Well, a question
we
about
could.
Hunt and Kaufman that we
Okay.
don't have, it never references a map like Rockwall's does. There's not an exhibit file that references a map. And I would think that would be part of an interlocal agreement. Would it not?
Most counties will maintain ETJ maps. Cities are supposed to have their own ETJ maps, but many counties will, even though they may not be required to, will have their own maps that they rely on that delineate county territory, unincorporated county territory, and then ETJs and municipal limits. Denton County has a really good one. I don't know about Hunt, Rockwall, or Kaufman. But the lack of a map just, I don't know if that's consequential or not, but I'm sure that the county will be able to figure it out.
Well, I mean, per lot, if they have a plat, and they'll ask us if it's in our HEJ or not. and then if it is, then it is. Right? If it's not, it's not.
You know, I remember one of the cycles of discussing this, we were in the midst of that thoroughfare plan debacle, and so one of the items here is that we have to comply, in this example, with Hunt County's thoroughfare plan. It's like if they decide to build a superhighway through the middle of Poetry, by signing this agreement, I guess it says that we will agree to that.
And I think we changed it to have the language and the town's thoroughfare plan, if any. That was a modification we made on that. So we have spent some time on this.
But it doesn't have words that say if it's in conflict with or anything like that, right? So,
Where are you looking at, Mike?
9 on the Hunt County one, item 9. Says Hunt County shall require compliance with Hunt County's and the town's thoroughfare plan, if any. We don't have one, but they
might.
have one. Kaufman had one, right? I mean, thankfully they all went away, but
Well, our plan is no plan.
no big roads,
That's right, that's our plan.
except apparently
That's a good
Bishop
plan.
Field to drain 3,000 people. I don't know, I just wanna make sure there's no gotchas in here that.
So on page 3, where it says the paragraph 5, where it says Hunt County, let's see. It says, middle of the paragraph, it says, in the event of such expansion or reduction of its ETJ, town agrees to notify Hunt County of such expansion or reduction within 30 days. I would like to make that 30 business days. By sending Hunt County a copy of the applicable ordinance together with an amended, they have 30 days. I think one of them has 10 days, and that's not enough
Question for
time.
Attorney Berman. A lot of these things, if they don't approve it, will become, if they don't deny it, it's just gonna happen. So if we extend these time limits,
Yeah, we're gonna get stuck. State law imposes a shot clock. 30 days from the date of an application is filed.
so
To
I
drop
got,
that deadline, you shall approve or deny a plat application within 30 days.
that's what I liked about the rock wall. They're putting it puts pressure on us, but it gives us down to 10 days because you may have to call a special meeting, but if we wait till 30
because
days.
of the shot clock.
The shot clock, we might as well not be involved.
So every time we approve a petition for ETJ, we would have to send them.
The engineer
notification.
would have to,
No, not the engineer, the city secretary.
So they can cut it out, right?
And then-
Cut out.
And we don't, we can send them a notification, we don't have a map. We can send a notification
Jason.
of the property ID,
yeah.
but, a similar letter, we can send them a letter like we send the homeowner, I
But these
suppose.
30-day things just seems like that we're wasting our time if we're gonna go wait 30 days to do anything.
We are wasting time to do that.
To your point.
So your suggestion is that our motion would be to consider this or consider revisions or?
No, what I'm gonna suggest
next
is that
3
you guys
months.
authorize the mayor to negotiate interlocal agreements with each of the 3 counties. And bring them back for council review and approval. County's gonna have to get the process underway as well. I think, in general, the counties will require us to approve it first, but we don't know that for sure. So I think
That's
all the.
typically what they've done.
Yeah, that's what Coppin County, that's what I do with cities when we're talking
So
about.
just buy some time to look at it some more.
Yeah,
Well-
but I think what we gotta do is we gotta come up with a form that you guys are comfortable with, and then propose that. Now, the county may reject whatever we propose anyway and say, this is our form, if you guys wanna go along with it, and you want us to do it, then this is what you guys need to sign.
So is there a problem with just using like Kaufman County? I actually like Kaufman County. It's simple, to the point. Is there a problem with just,
Changing the deadline dates.
changing the
They're
dates?
the ones that
and
said
then-
if we get it to you, we get it to you. If we don't, it's not gonna really stop it.
Read about it in the
Yeah.
paper.
I
Well,
like the rock
change-
walls because it was
changing it-
less intrusive about codes.
Okay, so
you
just
know.
changing the dates and then,
Well, again, we can propose anything we want, they just.
Yeah.
well, see, once
Create it.
council approves this, and then they'll take it before their commissioners court and approve it, but this is like the 4th or 5th time we've had it on the agenda. I really would like us
Well,
to.
so Rockwell offered us theirs. Did Hunter Kaufman originally offer us theirs?
Hunt never, I went back and looked at
Yeah.
all the old, I never saw Hunt ever, you know, as best I could tell looking at the videos, ever offering.
Kaufman's what they,
This
their
is
first
what,
volley.
this
Yeah.
is Kaufman's,
Yeah.
and then Simeon modified it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so it's balls in our court to
But-
approve it.
But it's got 30-day limits in it, which makes us, if we approve that in their form, we're at the end of the shot
Well,
clock.
no, that's just when the ETJ, an ETJ position changes, that's not necessarily on a plat.
Well, it's the,
That's
those-
We don't really know what any of the counties were, how much they're willing to negotiate in connection with terms and conditions. So we've got to get the process underway, and we've got to get the ball rolling, and we've got to be working on Hunt County first.
what I liked about Rockwalls is they don't have the building code stuff in it. Which is, you know, like you say, is tough in Kaufman County. Not Kaufman County may shoot it down, but
So, okay, does council like the Rockwell County agreement? Do you have any feedback on that besides what Jonathan's saying?
and I'm not worried about they have a map in it. That I don't think they're gonna use the map. They're gonna look at the properties.
I guess I'd point out that we haven't had very good luck with Kaufman County negotiating on anything.
Well, we haven't
You
been to the
think?
table. Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah,
haven't
wait
been
until
to the table.
January next year.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, maybe.
Well, the current division was passed before we were even a town.
Didn't we look at that 3 years ago? The Kaufman County one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the Kaufman, yes, not the
Yeah, we've
Rockwell.
been
We're looking
looking
at
at this
Rockwell
for-
now, right?
Yeah,
Not tired of
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, but we need to stop kicking the can and get this done. But we have 4 citizens: Dale Bryant, Patrick Smith, Doug Kendrick,
Doug Kendrick, Holly Creek Poetry. Appreciate the work and the discussions y'all are having. I'm kind of the same thing as the city attorney saying. I think the town really needs to focus on subdivision regulations, because whether it's a mud or whatever in our city limits, you gotta have some sort of opportunities and control over what does go into the subdivisions. ETJ, as the city attorney said, we've got some, or the town has some limitations on ETJs, but other than some of the, I mean, most of the ETJs really don't have a dog in the hunt on some of those items. Whether you call it a mud or not, I'm gonna try to stay within the agenda item. The muds, or subdivisions that come in that are kinda in an ETJ, if you will. Councilman Anderson mentioned about Sunnyvale. I'm familiar with Sunnyvale, plus a new subdivision that went in between Garland and Sunnyvale that's in no man's land. So you do, as y'all have addressed, public safety, building inspections and things like that is very important. It doesn't really matter, and as the council even mentioned, they will pay for it, but it's a matter of whether whoever's gonna provide the service is gonna accept that cost. So, and that's still where the Sunnyvale development, D.R. Horton is at right now, is, they're supplied by Dallas County, and they're out there by Ray Hubbard, so. But the subdivision, you need to have a subdivision ordinance, because whether it's in the ETJ or whether it's in our own community, you need to have these outlines, because if you've got the subdivision in Poetry, it's easy to help and stand up to the county agreements that you may be in concert with. Any state labor, electricians, plumbers, any of those folks, they have to do by the current International Building Code. So if they're out there doing something and they're licensed by the state of Texas, they have to abide by the state code that they're licensed in. So you got a little bit of leeway there to a point. Dallas County has started about 3 years ago on ETJ outside of city limits in the counties. their fire marshal's officers are now having to go out there and do home inspections for new construction. So there's a lot of it out there that is out there. But I do feel like really work on a subdivision for ours, because where I came from in the background was when we did subdivisions, we wanted to make sure there was two ways in and one way out, two ways in, two ways out. Because of disasters may happen in that neighborhood. If they only got a 50-foot street wide that I've heard tonight, that doesn't get two-way traffic in and out if there's a disaster going on inside that subdivision. So there's a lot of acreages entitled within your subdivision. So supporting as you guys,
Time.
yeah, you're doing good, so
Thank you, Doug.
hang in there.
Thank you, Doug. Kevin? Okay. All right, so can we, since Rockwall agreement is the shortest one, I believe, can we go through that one? Is there anything on page 1 that, besides the date, we need to obviously change the date, on page 1 that you would like to see changed?
Are you wanting to pass this tonight?
Well, no, this is give her something to see if she can go to all the 3 counties and negotiate.
Well, we
with them.
have
I'm
to-
asking if we're fixing to sit here and pause for 35 seconds for 75 pages, or do we want to put them on the forum and say, hey, here's my edits.
Okay.
This is Rockwall, then you got Hunt, then you got Kaufman.
think that's more efficient.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
This is
we,
the only one we haven't had forever.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, but
I mean,
we've
so
already
we've already had this like 5 times on the agenda, so when are we gonna pass it, guys? Because we have to pass it and then it has to go to the counties.
I'm not gonna pass it.
well, I'm not trying to pass it, but I'm trying to say, is this the one we want to pick? And are there changes in it? So if she can negotiate with all of them to get the same one.
Well, we hadn't even decided what the 4 options that he gave us. Are we wanting to take one document to all 3 counties? I mean, we're rushing ahead like we're just gonna approve all 3 of these separately. One of our options was we could write our own, or we could take a document that we like to the other 2 counties. I mean, we hadn't even discussed that, guys.
Okay, we'll
Let's talk
discuss
about
it.
Mowing ahead.
Let's talk about it.
Well, that's my point, is Councilmember Blake liked the Rockwall one the best.
Okay.
I wanna know what you guys think. Do you like the Rockwall one the best, or do you like the Hunt and
That
Kaufman?
wasn't what was asked. It was, we was going down that line item by line.
Well, yeah, because if there's things on here I want to ask the attorney about when we get to the pages.
Well, to me, the Rockwall one is more of a minimalist
That's
Yes.
why he liked
document.
it.
I mean, there's not,
Right.
it doesn't talk about fire, it doesn't talk about 911 or driveways. I mean, it's more
And,
just how we're gonna interact and some very basic things they're gonna look at, which to me would be the ideal. It's like, let's keep it as simple as possible.
right, and that's why, and I'm sorry if I wasn't clear, when he said that earlier, I'm like, well, let's see, can we make would it be agreeable to the council to make the Rockwell one our standard, and then we,
That's the question.
and then,
Yeah, but-
and then we take it to Kaufman and Hunt and see if they go for it?
Sure, I'd be in favor of that.
Here,
And that way we know what the agreement says, it's
It's
simple.
just a starting point, like the attorney
And
said,
then
but
they bounce back, but on the other hand, it's a start. yeah.
Well, that's the vote what I'm getting at. If that is council's desires, let's do that, and then work on that document. Let's
Oh,
not work on the documents and then kick it down the road later.
well,
Well, the document is not that long.
the only reason I said I wanted to work on it a little bit was the attorney's gone over Hunt County. Y'all in the past, and we've gone over Kaufman County several times. We've never gone over the Rockwall
We haven't.
one.
Yeah, he's
And
right.
There's only one thing on
It's-
section 4.6 where it says the town within 10 working days of acceptance, and I was wondering, would that word be better as receipt? You know, that's a question to you that I waited to ask because, or is the language in it okay as a starting point?
I'm okay with the language. I mean, if an application is filed, doesn't mean that it's been received. If an application is filed and it's inadequate, the filing fee isn't included, a whole bunch of different reasons an application can be rejected. And if you say received, then
Okay, so acceptance is, okay.
So
that's-
it's like 6 pages plus a signature page. I think it's very minimal. It's something we can knock out, and then
Well,
if,
He answered a lot of my questions.
Yeah.
He says there's nothing in the
I'm
form
missing it,
that's technically wrong. I like the 10 days because of the shot clock thing, and it was, like Mike said, it's minimalist. It doesn't have all those regulations like Kaufman County does.
Well, in my option, my preference would be that we come up with one template and we propose it to all 3 counties and try to
Okay.
make as few changes
Mhm.
back from them as possible, so we
Okay.
have a more.
okay, is
Yes.
that a motion?
Well, but we need to work it, I believe, through the forum. I think the forum's the best way, rather than sitting here for the next.
Well, again, it's only 5.5 pages plus a signature page. That's what I'm saying, it's not that long. And you guys surely have read it ahead of time, so there's not that much to discuss tonight on, that's what I'm saying, it's not that long.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't come with my brain ready to merge documents into one, so.
Well, I don't want to merge anything. I really like.
I mean, it's, like I said, it's not that long, it's the shortest one. You've had it a week
But
in
again,
advance.
I didn't see mention of fire code in the Rockwall one. Do we want somebody to be enforcing the fire code?
Well,
We're
to
not.
Terry's point, we're not in the town limits. We would be imposing that in the ETJ. This doesn't talk about it, so we're not imposing
Leave
it.
it alone?
Now, if it comes to Kaufman County, we could have this agreement, and they're probably gonna do whatever they wanna do. I mean, they may even agree to it. They do whatever they wanna do anyway.
Well, but we would have some recourse. I mean,
Would we?
if we had a county commissioner that liked us, and we.
Well, yeah, we don't have any recourse. They cancel an agreement that they can't cancel unless you wanna go to the Attorney General. I don't think we have that.
I guess I'd make the motion that we take the Rockwall one, put it out on the forum, and then among us ask for comments over the next few weeks, and then resolve it as best we can at the next meeting.
I second.
to
Okay.
Terry's point, with the goal being to create a single document that would be sent to all 3 counties.
Yes, that's,
Okay,
that's,
is that a
I
consensus?
think without,
Simeon, do you have a comment? 'Cause he can't even hear it.
No comment. I think we do need to move forward with this eventually. I mean, we took a state oath to uphold state law, so we need to accomplish this just based off of our word to do so. So I think we need to take some forward progress.
Okay, I think we have a motion. Who, was it Jaffe?
Tom.
Anderson.
Okay,
Fowler.
okay, Tom made the motion to take the Kaufman County one.
no.
Rockwall.
Oh, the Rockwall, excuse me, the Rockwall County document, put it on the forum, get some feedback, and then come back with that single document to present to all counties. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that was seconded by Jaffe, or Terry Fowler, okay? So all those in favor? All right, and that passes 4-0. All right. We accomplished something.
Forward progress.
Forward progress.
Figure it out.
So, who's gonna put that one, you wanna put that one on the forum for us, Blake?
Oh,
Okay,
I may be calling Simeon for help, but I'll work that out. Yes.
okay, thank you. Okay. All right. Number 4, moving on. Kaufman County, inaccurate posting of project sheet and Kaufman County ILA with Kaufman County for road maintenance. This was requested by Councilmember Fowler and Councilmember Blake. I'm just gonna try and play, a video's worth 1,000 words.
Sorry.
Whoops, no, excuse me. See.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can figure it out.
So we're gonna watch a movie?
We're a little bit, just a video.
Veggie Tales.
I
Ooh, I love that.
Veggie Tales? Oh my
We've
goodness.
been around kids way too long.
My favorite.
Something funny, Chevy Chase maybe?
No.
Details could be funny.
The Chosen. Okay.
We already know how that one ends.
And is it not mirroring? It's still spinning. if my technology will work.
It only works when you're testing it,
Right.
not when you're actually using it for.
Well, it says it's mirroring, but I don't see a mirror.
Disclaimer that you didn't like.
Is that on YouTube?
They don't do jerky.
That's gonna change.
Yeah, because it's not, you don't have it on.
I wish I could press it.
You should be able to, don't you have an arrow down button? You have the right remote, the other remote.
Maybe.
Is the one you need.
HDMI on TV remote. Okay. Josh sent me a text. HDMI on TV remote.
HDMI. No, it would be, you'd have to go to. Yeah, I'm on YouTube.
We don't, just put cancel. So easy.
It's our first attempt at.
On your phone, did you say share and it showed the name of the TV and you said yes?
It's on living room.
We're going on to your house.
It's the one, no, it's the one we tested. We tested and it worked fine.
Why isn't it coming up? Okay, a new version.
Well,
it's
usually
only-
it'll say, here's a code, does
That's
that
what I
code
did.
match, and
Yes.
there you go.
Okay. So we've already played it, is that correct?
We have,
Okay. Let me go
but it's
to-
not mirroring. Okay, so the time is now 8:10. We're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
Yes.
And while we get this going.
Farmers Electric. Ordinance. Okay, maybe I'm back in order. I hate it when I lose stuff in the middle of my stack of stuff.
You set it all up and then somebody
I
pays.
number them.
For like 15 minutes.
I number them all.
Ah,
The top of the page, so I know
that's
which
a
one.
good idea.
Did she say the time when we went to break?
Yeah, 80 something or other.
I'll find out.
She usually writes it down on her notes. I don't know where she writes it, but she writes everything down.
Yeah, I'll find it on the tape.
What kind of horses you got?
A little bit of everything. We have, draft horses, several Morgans.
Big giant one?
Yeah, big ones. Yeah, mine don't have real big feathers. They call them feathers. They're not gigantic. It's actually a matched pair that pull a wagon.
Yes.
All the way down to minis. I've got some little minis that are
Really?
If you tell Simeon he can take a break.
I will not tell my wife.
Well, I hope you heard.
We'll be at
they're
your house.
pasture ornaments. They're absolutely worthless. I got one of them trained to come in the house to aggravate my wife every once in a while.
I like that.
You have to do something special to aggravate your wife? What's your secret?
You got
Well, when she's out of town, I send pictures.
Oh.
We have donkeys. The mules, I used to race mules, so I've got several mules.
Donkeys are for coyotes.
Yeah.
Does that work?
I keep them with my cows.
Yeah.
They keep them away?
I don't have any dog or cow problems, so.
Wow.
Yeah, they're mean.
You want a couple of Great Pyrenees?
Practice.
I'll take them and then they'll run off just like my last ones. And I'll be the
I have a great dog, I don't know what he is, he's an
Whatever. I'm here.
Okay, so, thanks, okay, Secretary Ann got it going, she's earning her wage. Okay. The time is 8:17, we're resuming our regular meeting. We need the chamber quiet, please, thank you. All right, so we're, I'm gonna back that up.
You wanted,
So we're gonna, so this is, on March 26th, I appeared before the Commissioners Court, and can you back it up just a little? Here we go.
Is that the title of the YouTube video? Kaufman and Poetry LA? I can't find it on YouTube.
Oh no, I think
no,
you're-
it's on there,
today, yeah.
because I just found it, this is just
Yeah.
regular YouTube. So, yeah,
Is that services?
All right, go ahead and play.
Person who'd like to speak, there, would like to come forward, please. Give us your name and address, please.
My name is Doris Sinkovich, 11090 County Road 2400 in Poetry, Texas. I received notification yesterday that number 8 on today's agenda was regarding termination of the ILA with the Town of Poetry. As mayor of the Town of Poetry, I'd like to say that we do not wish to terminate that agreement. I'd like an opportunity to work with Commissioner Barber and Aaron Conway and in the future, Kelly Lane. So we would like our agreement to stand, and I haven't talked with him regarding that. I'm not sure what's up. I hope he's well after the procedure, but I just want to let you all know that the Town of Poetry would like to, in clause 8 of that agreement, I don't see that can be done. It says with agreement with the town and consent of the county. This agreement may not be changed, altered, or modified without prior written consent of the town and the county. So in the agreement itself, I don't see the means to which it can be terminated.
Also, here, we'll be back next week, February 23rd, so we'll put it back on the agenda next week.
Thank
Yes, thank you, appreciate you coming. Okay, is everyone had time to look at the consent agenda?
So this is the next week, the very next week in their court.
Notice of termination, cancellation, of ILA and local agreement with the town of Porter for road maintenance. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, we've had some issues with this agreement, and particularly with the mayor over there, and she actually notified me, gosh, it's been about a month ago, and said that she had spoken with her council about no longer having the agreement with us, that they were gonna look at, bringing in contractors, which I thought was a great idea, since we were unable to meet her expectations, so I think we just need to cancel, this ILA with them and let them do what they wanna do.
Okay, so legally, is there a 90-day cancellation time on this, or how does it work?
There's an agreement on this, is from what I've understood from Debbie, that, I don't know that there's a specific provision for that, but do you, Commissioner Barber, do you all,
Yeah, Debbie and I have discussed this, and I'm trying to find the exact wording here, but there is something in here, and the mayor has already been sent a letter, and she's accepted that through certified mail. I'm trying to find the exact wording here, but there is a provision in here that allows for one or either one of the parties, as long as they notify in writing that they want to cancel, then it can be done, and that's what we're doing. So.
It's not there.
Nope.
Yes, sir.
Martin, do I have a second? Second. Rick, will make a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner Sheriff.
Thank you, Ann.
Actually, it's, item 5 says the term of the agreement is for 2 years from the effective date thereof, be renewed for additional 2-year term unless either party sends the other notice of renewal at least 30 days prior to the end of the initial or renewal term. In other words, they can send it in 30 days prior to the end of it, which is next year, next May. There is no 90-day,
The agreement contains no termination at will clause.
I'm sorry?
The agreement contains no termination at will clause. The
Right.
only way that it could be terminated, in theory, is when the term expires, they give us notice prior to that
30
expiration,
days.
which is next year.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why he was saying that, because that's not what the contract says.
Has this council heard me talk about the ILA in this meeting, as he stated in that commissioner's court?
No, I was gonna ask, I don't remember talking about
We haven't.
contractors or giving you encouragement to go cancel it or anything else.
It wouldn't even make logical sense. Even if we decided to use a contractor, which is the volunteer crew, why would we cancel?
But
a
it
per-
doesn't matter.
I'm saying, why would we
It
have
doesn't
to?
It doesn't matter,
There's
we
an
are
item
where we
5.
are, so.
It says it will end, we can end it at the end of the 2-year term.
And then secondly, he said that I accepted a notification. What I got, as I said in the week prior, was an announcement that they were gonna have the meeting. That's all I received it certified mail. I received it, doesn't mean that I signed an acceptance of anything. So that was not correct.
But, you know, at the end of the day, just my perspective, county commissioners either work for you or they don't. And now we've got a little bit of a hostile situation. And although we can legally show him where he can't get out of this agreement, the odds of us getting anything out of him or his crew or anybody else are slim to none.
What I don't understand is why, okay, so he didn't win the election in March, was it March?
Yeah, that's what
Was it
Josh
March?
said. He
And
said
then-
March 6th.
So he still is kind of this lame duck until January 1st when Kelly Lane takes over, and so that's a long time. I don't understand
Well, he's
why
not a
there's
lame
such a.
duck, that's his term. I mean,
Yeah.
he's lame duck to us,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's his term. But
Well, it's
Well, and
Kelly-
for- and
it's
for 2
Kelly
years.
Lane's right to terminate next year because he'll be in office. And if that's what he recommends next May, well, that's the way it is. But this is way premature. There's nothing in the language that agrees to that. I mean, I know that I was in all the meetings and I negotiated all this.
When we first negotiated,
Part
the
of
first 2 years, it seemed to work very well. Last April, a year ago, April, when Tom was in that meeting, Attorney Berman was in that meeting, we had a disincorporate show up at that meeting and stay after that meeting, and it seemed to go south after that meeting. And so, he stayed for a long time, and I don't know what that person said to him, but things changed dramatically after that meeting.
But it doesn't matter. We
Yeah.
got a contract.
Right. In,
Not no more.
well, I mean.
Yeah, if we have a contract or not, they're an at-will vendor that works on our roads when they can.
But that doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
No, I agree.
What mattered is he cannot cancel the
I
contract.
agree, but. we
What you're
can't
saying
make
is
him work.
exactly right. You
You
still
can't
gotta
make him
negotiate.
work.
But they don't have the legal right to cancel it, because we wrote this contract this way, that at the end of 2 years, and we put it in for us, at the end of 2 years, if we're not happy with this, we can get out of it. We wrote it that way so that we weren't limited forever.
From the very beginning, the county has not been very accommodating in connection with this contract. It took longer than it should have to negotiate what really is a fairly simple agreement, and it's a requirements contract. You know, if we want to use their services, then they'll contract with us under those conditions. But when we did contract with them, you know, we had, 5 projects? And it took them months, an incredibly long amount of time to even start the first one. And we paid them up front, and when they completed the projects, they only did 3 of them and said the funds were
Well, he did one, so there was 5 roads on the project sheet, and they did 1 road. And in September audit, they said they completed all 5 roads, and that's in the packet.
Is that what this document is? This is from the county to us?
Yes, sir.
So I
Well,
thought-
actually, no, the handwriting's mine.
Okay,
But the document is what they
saying that they
provided,
completed these 5 roads.
and it's just not right. It's
Well, I
not-
called him today to ask him because I wanted to follow up, and he said that is an absolute lie that he did repair these roads.
Well, the people on those roads can testify that they were not done. Nancy Harkreader's right
do you
there.
believe
She
them?
can testify
So
that
here's
they
the-
were not
here-
done.
Here's the problem, because
She lives on
he's
that
an
road.
elected official
Yes, he is.
who has stated that he has used our money to fix these roads.
And they were not done.
But he's saying he will refute that in court if anybody wants to challenge.
Well, even on his, but here's,
Because
okay,
he said, we don't understand how the money works, which I probably don't. It goes into a fund, and then he turns in a work order to the auditors. The auditors are the ones that ultimately release those funds. So
okay,
somebody looked at
trying
it.
to give him the benefit of the
Does that sound
doubt
correct, Mr.
even.
Berman?
It does.
But listen, so the auditor's report says they finished all 5 roads. Even his report that he submitted the following January says they didn't. It says he only worked on 249 and 323.
Did you get that paperwork?
Yeah, it's in the packet. So
No.
even his own document,
No, the one that's contrary to this one.
it's actually right here. It's his own spreadsheet
Oh, the
tells,
spreadsheet?
is
Oh,
revealing. His
okay.
own spreadsheet says he only spent money, he spent all the money on 249 and 323. 323 wasn't even on the project sheet.
So he sent you this one?
He sent this in January.
Okay.
Yeah.
After, you know, so 7 months had gone by, I'm calling Aaron, hey, Aaron, when are you gonna get to the roads? Excuse after excuse after excuse, and I was trying to be understanding, hey, it's hot, they had 2 guys that had a heat stroke, you know, they had roads, yada, 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 they were giving me all excuses, but not once did they give me excuse that they spent all the money. Not once.
So
It was
there's
only
no
in
money
January.
escrow?
Well, in January, he
Well, they
says
said
that they
they
spent
spent
it on 2 roads, only one of them were on the project sheet.
Yeah.
So you can't have it both ways.
This,
It's just not correct, it's false.
this is the sheet that's the
And
tail.
this is the tell.
The spreadsheet's
That's
the
what I'm
tail.
looking at now.
Yeah.
I didn't know where this spreadsheet came from. I didn't know if you prepared this.
No,
This
that's,
came from him in January. This came from
This was
Terry
emailed
Barber.
to you?
It
Yeah.
was.
I guess just a little heads up on that might help. Have they done the math? So we allotted them $3,280. We approved it on 4/27, or that's when you signed it, right?
Yes.
So we wouldn't look at anything before 4/27.
We submitted the check, as I always do. Submit
Right.
the check with the project sheet for
Right.
5 roads.
Okay.
It was 4 Post Lane, Gate Lane, Green
I
Meadow Lane,
remember I was voting.
249, and it was actually 247. It wasn't 323.
Was this also the one where they were using some kind of sand mix or something?
No, that was the one before. This one was, okay, so I called Aaron, I said, Aaron, 249 is dangerous. That's when it was falling off. It is dangerous. Someone's gonna get hurt here. It's dangerous. Please go look at it. He said, okay, I'll have him go look at it. Nothing happened. I called him back the next week. I said, Aaron, we need someone to look at this. It's dangerous. And he said, well, I'm so sorry, my guy got sick, the one that I was gonna send out, I'll go out and look at it. He did, that afternoon. He said, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right, it's dangerous. He had his crew out the next day, to their credit. 249 got some attention because it was dangerous. There was like a 1.5-foot drop off. And so they did put some money on 249. But then I get the auditor sheet that they completed all 5 September 9th. That's not accurate. That was the only one that they addressed.
So he did spend all the money, and he is saying he put it on our roads.
But
We're
not
claiming
once.
he didn't do it where we asked him to do it.
Well,
Not
wait a minute,
once did he say-
Initially, we had a big problem with the way they were gonna cost it. They were gonna cost it as if this was something coming out of the national average.
Under FEMA rates.
I'm sorry?
Under FEMA
The
rates.
FEMA rates,
But we-
which were
we-
way in
way
excess
high.
of what we agreed to. What we agreed to here, and they agreed, was that we would reimburse them for their materials and their costs and their labor for their direct costs only, not the embedded costs, not pensions and all that. If they, whatever they pay, that's what we do. So we had all this set up like this directly so that we wouldn't get stuck with those exorbitant FEMA rates. The FEMA rates were their national average.
Well, you remember that initially they told us, Terry Barber told us, that it was illegal for the county to do any work on our roads.
And that's not right.
That was
That's not.
Well,
completely
no, he's
false.
right. He did say that.
He did say
He did
that.
say it, but it's false. The Texas government code allows
We showed him the
cities.
statute. We showed him the
Yeah,
statute.
we showed him the
In
statute.
the presence of the AD, Assistant District Attorney.
Yeah. And they said their longstanding policy is not to, but most counties do. Anyway, but here's the thing. 2 years prior, when Aaron Conway would give me an estimate, he was spot on. We'd approve it, write the check, submit the project sheet. It's done within 3 to 6 weeks. In this case, the 3280 was off by 80%. That doesn't even add up.
So what changed?
We had a year ago, April, we had a meeting, which Attorney Berman was at. Attorney Berman showed him the government code that said you can spend money in the cities. He didn't care for that. He said our longstanding policy is not to. But then also a disincorporate showed up at that meeting as well and was in his ear for a good while after the meeting. And all I know is ever since then, it was not a good,
Well, it hadn't
thing.
been all that
this-
productive before that too, Tara.
Well, but they
We've never-
finished them. They
Well,
finished
Aaron did the work, that's
Aaron did the
correct.
work. They did the work.
But then after that, then Aaron got some different directions apparently.
But they were doing the
Clearly.
work for 2 years.
Clearly he did. So, what do you want to do about it? I'm going to tell you, it is not in our best interests to consider any kind of litigation. We don't want to go there. That's completely out of the question. You can storm the county commissioner's court, or simply wait until January, until Terry Barber is off the court, and we have a county commissioner that won't fabricate critical information. That's kind of the nicest way I can say it. I want to use different terms, but I'm trying to be.
Well, using those nice terms, is this document fabricated by a Lake County official?
I don't know if it's been fabricated or not. I think he could back it up by saying, this is what it cost. We did some of the work and we spent all the money on those projects. And I can assure you that whether they did or not, he can come up with verification, with work orders and expense lists and invoices that will back up what he's saying. The fact that he told us one thing at first and then told us something different later,
So I guess, Mr. Berman, are we at the point where we just have to give up and renegotiate next year after Kelly Lane comes in?
Yeah.
Or do we have a case to say, no, you still got a contract, period?
we could.
Even though Barbara's not gonna do any work, we know that.
I know, see, the end of that road, yes, in theory, we could go to the county commissioner's court and say, the information that you received last April was incorrect, with all due respect, and there is no termination clause in the contract, you can read it for yourself. We never talk with y'all about, we never talk with our council about using contractors instead of, and we would like for you to consider that your termination of the contract was not effective, and that the contract be regarded as still being in place.
And I believe that's effective the letter that the mayor sent here a couple weeks ago, right?
But if they do that, if they agree, the best case scenario, the county commissioner's court says, we agree with you, we'll regard this contract as being in full force and effect.
But we haven't gotten any reply yet, have we?
No,
Barely.
which that's
But-
disappointing because I submitted a well thought out letter with Secretary Ann and myself and the attorney and a couple council members and sent a letter to Judge Allen and to Assistant DA Deborah Bonner. Got no response, so I resent it thinking, well, maybe it got lost in junk mail. And then I submitted it according to someone's recommendation to the civil attorney, Bagby, and I got a red receipt, but that was it.
Well, she said she had to send it on to Barbara.
And she did
and
say,
Jackie Allen.
yes, she did say that,
Yeah.
but I haven't gotten any. So I don't know, the volunteer team's gonna be out on the road on Monday, so if anybody wants to volunteer, they're gonna try and hit some roads in Kaufman County Monday.
How
And
would you describe you and Terry Barber's relationship over the last 3 years?
well, the first 2 years, I thought it went fine. I actually worked with Aaron Conway, his subordinate, great.
Because I get what you are presenting, but to me, I'm trying to figure out the derailment. I mean, I've heard Terry and talked to you about some of the accusations that Terry said, you yelling on the phone at him and demanding things.
No.
I think this is a failure to foster a healthy relationship.
Or he talked with a buddy he was in disincorporate, but it really shouldn't matter. It shouldn't
No,
matter.
It shouldn't matter, but you
He
catch
serves
more
the
beef with honey
people.
than you do vinegar.
Again, he hung up on me. I did not yell at him.
He has a witness on that one.
Okay, he has a claim, and I also have a witness. I was talking just like I'm talking now. He said, you shouldn't have incorporated. We can't submit any money in your town because you incorporated. I'm like, so you're telling me you're punishing us because we incorporated? Click, he hung up on me. And that phone conversation lasted less than 30 seconds. So he didn't like what I was saying, but I was not yelling. And he's fabricated other things that we've seen here tonight. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it's water on the bridge. Aaron Conway and I had a good working relationship. Terry, the first year, wouldn't even answer his phone. And come to find out, he has a 100-acre ranch and his phone service was bad. So I worked most of the time with Aaron because he answered his phone and he text messaged it, So
Well,
it
wait a
really.
minute. I was in a lot of those meetings too, and I have to say, I don't think we ever had what I'd call a good relationship with Terry Barber. I don't think it was our fault, I think it was him. Because I was in the meetings and I listened to him, and he had a hidden agenda, Barber did, and I'd say this publicly, because if he's listening, that's true. He had some kind of an agenda against us, of which we don't know, but that was from the very first meeting we had. So I didn't think things really deteriorated worse. I think they were never there.
I think they stayed the same.
Well-
You think they were the same the whole time? You don't think there was a real relationship?
The meetings I was in, I didn't see anything useful. I thought, we had to strive for everything we got, and that started with the cost. Barbara wanted to charge us these exorbitant costs. And then when we went back and showed him what the law says you can only charge your costs. That FEMA had nothing to do with their costs. Now, he didn't like that, and that was the first step, because we said, here's the law. And then you can only charge your fuel, labor for the direct costs, and then a certain amount of rent or something like that, but it only had to be absolute cost. So that was the first thing that we saw, and it was in the very first meeting, and I never saw it get any better in the meetings
Well, and
I was
Aaron had
in.
approved the meeting, when we were there, he had approved what we had written, and then Terry came back and changed it, and he said he blamed it on the attorney, but I don't know.
Well,
But,
in any case,
yeah.
Barbara's
I
gonna
think,
be gone after the first of the year, and then we're
yeah.
gonna start over again with Kelly Lane.
and Kelly
Either-
Lane and I have a really good relationship
But
already,
it's
so.
either gonna be a new contract or the existing one.
Yeah.
And my preference would be the existing, because we put a lot of effort into getting the existing contract there. And contrary to what he said, we deliberately put it in so that we could get out of it, not them. We wrote those words, not them. Because if we said this isn't working after a year and then now 2 years, we want the ability to get out of it. So I know what we put in there, because we had a lot of discussions on this. So, but it was never anything, what I would say, a willing relationship, starting with them trying to charge exorbitant costs, when Hunt County was saying, no, we'll just charge you for the materials and the fuel, that's all, not the labor at all.
In contrary, Hunt County's been great to work with. Both Randy Strait and Commissioner Monroe have been absolutely fabulous to work with, very attentive, answer their phones. We've had a great relationship, submit the checks, and they get it done within a few weeks. And,
Comes out and does an emergency
Commissioner
culvert
Barber was
repair.
voted out, I guess, wholehandedly. Quite a big margin, and that, I think that says a lot, so.
You know, I think to what Terry said, Tara, the thing that concerns me is we aren't going to be able to move poetry out of the 3 counties we're in. So we're gonna be in these relationships with whoever's seated in those offices for eternity. And if we're not careful, my concern would be we're gonna get a reputation. And I don't see as these people have an obligation to do anything for us. They can make this the absolute least important thing on their list of stuff they're gonna ignore forever, and we're not gonna get it. So I don't know, somewhere in here, it seems like there's a challenge for us as a governmental body to overcome whatever the struggle is, whether it's our fault or this. I mean, we can be right as rain and wrong, right? Right now, we're dead in the water. Our Kaufman residents are gonna get 0 road improvement other than what we can do ourselves.
Well,
Because he doesn't like us, we don't like him, I don't know. So I don't know, we can tar and feather Terry and send him out of town, and I don't know the man from Adam, it's the first time I've seen him. But, you know, Kelly, what happens when Kelly gets mad at us or something? I mean, we gotta figure out how to overcome this.
Well, I think, Mike, the answer is, and we started this with Kaufman, with Hunt County, the very beginning. We said, look, we have issues, let's, rather than go back and forth, just, we'll get together and talk about it. And with, whether it was Straight or with, the judge, whatever.
Stovall?
Yeah, Stovall. And it's pretty much the way it's gone, is that we've had just communication with him. Barbara's not been communicative, it's not, and it started with him, not with us.
That's right.
So I understand what you're saying, Mike, but at this point, we just gotta write off Barbara and then say, we can start what you're saying with Kelly Lane in January.
It was
That's
a
the
full,
only
yeah,
thing.
it was a full year before I even got to him to answer his phone, a full year.
So,
So, yeah, I
so
mean,
anyway, it's, none of it matters except do we have a contract or not? But getting work out of them, as long as Barbara there, no. It
well,
ain't gonna
and,
happen.
and to give our citizens hope, remember, before we had any money and we had any interlocal agreements whatsoever, our volunteer group filled 8,000 potholes in town. So kudos to them. They're gonna ramp it up Monday and they'll just get it done until we have another agreement. So it's obviously.
So that's till the end of the year.
It
Yeah,
is,
the way
yep.
it is.
They had 9 months before, and they'll just pick it up and do it again. So if there's anyone who feels compelled to help out with that, you know,
So my part of this request, and I think this is something we can kind of work through here, is notification of council, because this is something I emailed you on 6-7 weeks ago, because I began to get questions, and you give me the reply that you couldn't because you'd already talked to 2 other council
that's
members.
true.
Yeah.
It was OMA.
I agree that that might lock you down, but as a big contract debacle snafu we have here, and not letting the rest of the council in on it, we have a public forum that this could have been discussed on, and I think it should have been.
Well, you could have asked the question on it. You
Well,
can.
Terry, I thought what I'd said here, I'd raised back 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever we were. first going.
I learned from a citizen that we didn't have an ILA agreement. I emailed Tara and asked her, and she said she couldn't answer my question because she'd already talked to 2 citizens, or 2
Two
council people, and locked it down.
Well, that's Open Meetings Act. I can't change that. And I
And
mean,
that's why I wanted it on here, because I wanted it out.
well, and that's why.
So moving forward, what is the best way? These are contracts. These are things that we discussed for a long time to make them fit our town.
But a lot of this was going on before his election, and I was the voice in there to say, well, put it out there. Let's let the citizens get him out of office. And she says, I don't think we should politicize it by putting out a misunderstanding in front of his election. So she was giving him grace, and I'm one of the people talking to, and I'm saying I don't think he deserves grace. This is just they didn't enter into this in good faith, and he's confirmed that. I wasn't there, but just by the way he's going, and it's like,
When we need to disseminate stuff, we can go through the attorney, we can go through the secretary.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, as a big a deal as this is, it would have been nice for all council to have been notified that we have lost our ILA agreement with Kaufman. We are currently working on it. Something besides me getting fed by citizens and not having any truth come from the situation.
Question for you. Can I email the city secretary now and disseminate that information, or can I only go to the public forum?
I would be using the public forum a lot more,
Okay.
but the city secretary or I could for me, legal advice staff could disseminate unilaterally
Okay.
information,
Well,
but
no,
that's not something that you should regard as being free and easy. It needs to be done judiciously.
I agree, but a contract that affects.
But this is something that would fit
This
within those
definitely
parameters.
well, and we didn't know it was up for dispute, so I wasn't sure how to even word that. Like, is it or is it not? I don't know.
In which case you just say it may be.
Yeah.
You may be in
So,
trouble.
but again, I was writing letters to find out from Jakey Allen, Judge Allen, and find out. And so I felt like it was premature, plus I didn't, as he said, I didn't want to affect the election.
I think Mr. Berman made the point, that this isn't gonna go to litigation, we're not gonna do that.
No.
We just gotta eat it right now and wait till the end of the year and then try to do something again with, the new
Well,
commissioner.
again, even things like get them unelected or whatever, I mean, if I was sitting in Kelly's place, I'd be like, yeah, and when are they gonna turn on me?
No,
So
Kelly.
I think we need to be careful using stuff like that.
No, Kelly Lane went through a rigorous election with him, and he recognizes the ways that Mr. Barber works. I'll just leave it at that. Shelley Smith.
You know, I think one thing that we've completely glossed over here also is that there's been 2 meetings since April 2nd, when it could have been on the agenda. And I'm just baffled that nobody is worried about that. That this is just like the sales and use thing, where the mayor finds out something, she keeps it to herself for X amount of months, X amount of meetings, until all of a sudden it's revealed, and now there's so much water under the bridge. It would have been easy to put it on the forum or to put it on the agenda, and then one of the councilmen who might have a good relationship with Terry Barber could have gone and talked to him right away, instead of waiting 2.5 months. And by the way, today is June 20th, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Okay. Because the town is slightly date impaired, check the live feed.
Kevin Stinkovich. Okay.
We had signed her up for 10, but she really wants to talk about the road, so maybe it's more appropriate if she speaks.
Oh,
Is that all right?
so-
Switch her?
Nancy, did you want to speak on this topic? On the roads?
Well, you just about discussed it, say a little bit.
Okay. On the roads and the,
Nancy Harkreader, 1100 Gate Lane. You answered just about all of my questions. I definitely want to thank Kevin for coming out and filling up some holes for us, because our roads are in such bad shape. There's probably 25 to 30 homes in the 4-post addition, and there's only one way out, and it's 4-post. Everybody, even Corral and Gate Lane, they have to go down 4 posts to get to 986 to get anywhere. So I also thank Councilman Fowler for answering my ugly email I sent out, I guess, to the secretary. It was clean, but to the point. I thank you for answering that for me. And I guess the only question I have is, I think you've even answered that too. We're going further with, I guess, volunteers until we can get this local agreement taken care of. That's about all I have. Thank you very much.
thank you, Nancy. Okay, that's all of our citizen comments.
So there's no action?
There's no action on
Just
this.
information.
Information. Okay, number 5, ordinance amendment with Farmers Electric Cooperative. So this is an amendment back 3 years ago when the council, all of you here, sitting here except for Councilmember Blake, were here, signed an agreement with FEC, which for 2.5 years, they would pay us quarterly. But then after 2.5 years, it says in the ordinance, and I don't know how we missed this, but it says in the ordinance itself, or our attorney missed it, something, that it's annual. It goes to annual. So That doesn't work for our town. So since 40% of our general budget comes from FEC or so, so I reached out to Samantha Crouch, our attorney reached out to Samantha Crouch, is their in-house legal. We have a document here that will amend the payment. She seemed to, at first I was of course asking for quarterly. I said, hey, Encore does quarterly, can we do that? And they were saying, no, we're used to paying annually. I'm like, okay, well, can you do semi-annually? I think we can make it with semi-annual. And she said, we can probably do that. So she was, they've been kind of inundated because of the storm season, and they lost a lineman. It was tragically. So they've been delayed in some of the response, but Samantha Crouch, the legal, did say that they could sign something. I said, hey, we're a little flexible. I think in this one, he has September to March, but we could go January, June, or be a little flexible with that. I have not heard back from her. They are kind of hard to reach at times. So but I wanted to bring this to council to, talk about it and see what you, if you're, I mean, we're kind of at their mercy, I guess.
When will we receive our last payment? Or when have we received our last payment?
We received a small payment in January, and then I'm like, this is weird. So then I tried to reach out to them, but I couldn't get a hold of them, and then I finally got a hold of one of the ladies, and she said, anyway, there wasn't a lot of good communication there, but then they said, look at your agreement. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's kicked in. So anyway.
I remember that conversation.
See, I don't
thought
even
we'd
remember
be on
it.
our feet by then, and that was fine, but
Yeah.
here we are. So if they'll agree to this
Yeah.
biannual payments,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think that'd be better for our cash flow.
Yes, I think so.
Are we sure? I mean, there's budget and then there's cash flow. And we have the sources of cash flow are basically here, plus the sales and use tax.
But sales and use is just roads.
I'm sorry?
Sales and use tax is just
That's
roads.
what I'm getting to. Can we do it without dipping into the sales and use tax?
We have trash franchise, solid waste. franchise.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we're doing fine, but I think, and what I asked her is, hey, I don't care if it's January, June, September, March, just we need it in the same fiscal year so that we can fulfill our budget obligations. So she was fine with that, so we'll see what they say. I don't, so what is the lady's name?
I didn't look at it for that reason. Is this in forever terms, or is
It
gonna change
goes,
again?
what did she say, 29, let's see. The agreement itself was 20 years, I think. Do you remember,
Yeah,
David?
it's 20 or 25.
20,
It's a long
so it
time.
goes
At
along.
the end of that contract.
That was my understanding. Because I said, we're a small town, we have zero property tax, we're not like other towns, we need this, revenue at least semi-annually. And so they were accommodating. Okay.
Public comment?
We have on number 5, I don't see any, I don't have a card for number 5. Okay, I don't see any, did anyone sign up for 5? Okay, I guess not.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Jaffe, second by Fowler to approve this ordinance amendment. All those in favor? And that passes 4-0. Okay, number 6, construction and dissemination of the meeting agenda. Councilmember Fowler asked for this to be on the agenda, and here we are.
I want to revisit how we're doing everything. It's happened multiple times where the citizens are getting the packets before the council's getting the packets. I was the one that proposed, and ultimately we passed the council getting it 120 hours before, and that was for 2 reasons. One was to help you, because we would find little edits, and you're like, if y'all would tell me, we'd get that fixed. So we did, and the other was to let council get a heads up and get started on it. So when these ordinances, or when these agendas go out, to citizens before we get them, I think it just makes us look a little unprofessional when we have to go back and make so many edits. And I'm not faulting anybody, but I think if we could stick to what the game plan was when we passed it, let's get council's 120 hour, let council review it, send back any edits, and then stick to the 72. If we have a holiday, that's a different deal. I know we ended up with a holiday last time, but I would like council to get it, and then we have 2 days to get back to you or the secretaries of any edits or any corrections that need to be made and then post it publicly.
But I guess technically it's suggestions, right? Because the mayor is responsible for
Sure,
the.
suggestions, but if we find just like whatever you found, number 10 and 11,
Yeah.
the simple
Yeah.
things, or if we see something that's grossly wrong that needs to be addressed, if it's pushed to the public before we have a chance to look at it, there is no pullback.
I didn't realize that was happening.
Well,
It's multiple
by
times.
default, so let me explain how it's had to happen, because we haven't had a city secretary. Now, Anna's just learning how to upload, and that's great, really excited about that. So because my employees had to upload it, she leaves at 5 o'clock on Friday. So because of that, and she's been doing it now for 3 years, and thank God she's, willing to do that. And she's knowledgeable, she's very good, but because of that, she leaves at 5 o'clock. Sometimes she leaves at 4 o'clock. So that's why we've had to upload it Friday night before, because Monday is crazy for her. And she has whole nother job. And so, but now that we have Ann and Ann is being trained, we can absolutely do what you're saying. It's just because we haven't had a city secretary to do that, that's by default, that's what's happened. And so my apologies for that, and I understand, yeah, ideally, I'd love to have, 10 extra eyes on it before we post it, but that's not been a luxury we've had. So, but now that Ann is getting trained, I think she uploaded it with some help, but she was able to do it this last time. So, to your point, if we disseminate it 6:30 on Friday evening to all council, then that's great. You guys look at it, give me feedback. Now, I will say that only 1 or 2 council members have given me feedback, and so I'm like, well, are they even reading it? But if there is a dramatic change, now this one was just a number, that was easy, but if there's a dramatic change that maybe needs legal counsel, I kind of need to know, like, maybe 2 o'clock on Sunday or something, so then I have time and I have to set my schedule, because I'm not a procrastinator. I want that thing posted by 10 or by noon on Monday. I do not like to wait until 5 o'clock.
And I
even.
understand that, but it's just in our packet. I don't know what got pushed to the citizens. We had 3 agendas come out through this packet.
Because there was changes, yeah, but there's going to be changes.
Well, that's why
Yeah.
The first one came out on Friday, didn't it?
It did.
Because
it come to us in the correct amount of time.
Yeah. See,
Except it was
because-
short one item.
Well, again, remember, I'm working for weeks to get the agenda in order, and so on Fridays I'm having her, proofread things. We just got 2 new items. There was 2 items here that we got on Thursday. So things, it's a constantly moving target, but I am trying to follow the rule of 120, that means 6:30 on Friday. We are trying really hard, and if I think Blake's been here, when it's intense. We're trying to, make sure, it's 170 pages of document. We're trying our best, and so it's a lot, but I would really appreciate if, when we disseminate that, and that says it in the rules of procedure, so we have been trying to fulfill that. Now, it didn't say that we couldn't post it, but to your point.
That's part of the reason we decided to do that, to help you and at the time,
Well,
whatever secretary.
but I
we
don't
had.
get much feedback
If
except
it's
for.
already posted,
No, but we can change it up until 6:30 on Monday. We can change it. But I see your point. And so, yes, ideally now that we have a secretary to do that, she can come in Monday morning and, or even like if you guys will let us know if you see something that needs to be corrected, you see something that isn't, you have a question about, if you'd let us know like maybe 2 o'clock on Sunday, then we'll have some time to figure it out, and then it can take some time to amend an agenda. I may have to consult Attorney Berman.
Minutes are the hardest thing I
minutes-
have to read through to give feedback on, because there's just sometimes there's just things that are, they get names wrong and things like that.
they can be amended in the.
Yeah.
Well,
but my idea is if we get it right before then we're not having to make those, it's a consent thing, we just boom,
Well,
boom,
and
boom.
as a management thing, I've asked Secretary Ann to get the minutes to me 7 days after this meeting. So that I have time to look at it, then I can really proofread it, and I have to leave it and then proofread it again. So if there are names, she's still new, still learning, and so, but just the process. So we are still getting our flow here. So,
I get it. I just wanted to have this open conversation so we
yeah,
could make
it's good.
make improvements where I think we can. The other thing is I've also heard from other citizens that I guess we posted one that was very difficult for them to read. Mike,
An agenda?
As a packet. You even said something about how you had to open it was different.
Oh, that was the first time she posted one, and it was really.
Okay.
Okay, but I only sent that to you guys, the ones.
Maybe I
posted.
was just talking to you about it.
Maybe that
so
was it,
the
yeah.
standard version's a PDF that's just uploaded, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
That long PDF, that's what we used to upload to the
Okay, that's fine.
website, and so it was last month, I was like, well, you guys have met multiple times, said, can we not get so many emails? So I thought, okay, I'll send it just in one PDF. It went really easily, I didn't need multiple emails, but then I got some feedback that
we
was.
can't break it into the individual
Yeah.
items.
Right.
And it can't be
So I won't do
double.
that again, but I just,
So
thought
that
that
hasn't
really-
gone to public, that was just
no,
a
that was
conversation,
just to you
I guess
guys,
you and I.
yeah.
Well, and I guess my suggestion would be the one with the agenda, because I do look at that first, very first, just to see what's coming up. Is I would like to see the agenda just, you know, you
By
have
itself.
3 or 4, have the agenda just on one. That way it pops up,
Okay.
can know that, don't have to hunt for it, it's there, because I think that's the most important item in the package.
Probably the most legal item, most contested item.
Yeah.
The dates and.
Well,
and to
Oh,
what
you
he's
mean
saying,
it's
okay,
very
it's-
Well, and I would appreciate if you guys really do, really scrutinize it and make sure that we don't have, because it's gone out to council and there's still been errors.
Yeah.
So I'd really appreciate it if you would scrutinize it and make sure that we, because we're
fair
human.
enough, but I would like
Yeah.
to see it as
Sure.
its own, that way we're sure that it's out there.
Okay.
So
That's
if I
easy
can
enough.
just clarify what we talked about, we're gonna send the agenda out on Fridays, just the agenda,
No.
by 6:30, and then you get, no?
No.
Agenda with
packet.
packet.
The
With
whole
the
package.
As much as we
Okay.
can. I mean,
As much as. we
I'm
can,
waiting
okay.
on stuff. We're waiting on stuff and we oftentimes don't get stuff until
But don't
Monday or
post it
Tuesday.
But
until
as
Monday.
as you become more comfortable with posting it, I wouldn't like to see it posted until the 72 or 80 hours before
Sure.
the meeting.
So
That gives
post
everybody
it
time.
on Monday.
Digest it.
Yes.
We get it
Right.
Friday, they get
Yeah.
it Monday.
So send you
Gotcha.
everything on Friday, but we just won't plan to post it until
And
Monday.
this is not to keep the citizens from knowing 2
No,
days
but it's just
earlier.
for feedback.
If it,
Clean
something
it
needs to
up.
go through Berman's office, I would rather do it then than have to answer the questions on why did this change.
All Tom was saying is.
And then put
send
the agenda in its
separate,
very own.
its own
Gotcha.
thing separate,
Okay.
which
Okay.
I agree with him, because that's the first thing I go look at, so that I can check off
Sure.
all the other stuff
I
coming
don't,
through.
I think we're good. I think
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
good.
Just wanna make sure I
Okay.
put my notes.
All right, so,
Tired yet?
No,
Tara, 2 quick comments.
Okay.
One, it's not related, but since we mentioned it, the minutes, I really like the format of the minutes. It's become much easier for me to read, highlighting
good.
names and all
She's
of
done
that.
a great
So,
job, yeah.
I mean, we've kind of gone back to the detail version. That's okay. We've argued back and forth on that, but to me, they're very clear, very simple to
Well,
read.
good, I'm glad to hear that.
But several secretaries ago, one of the things that started happening just out of nowhere that I really liked was the secretary would email the entire council a week or 2 before the meeting and said, hey, here are the agenda items I have so far. Do you have any others or any feedback? And so we were sort of part and parcel to the construction. You get to approve, but we got to see it because part of the.
Who did that? I don't even know that was happening.
The young gal.
Was that Caroline?
Could have been.
I don't remember that.
I loved it because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, so we're going to be talking about
Yeah.
this, we're going to be talking about that. So I
Okay.
didn't just have 5 days to bone up. I had, weeks and I could give feedback and all that. So is there a reason? She has the ability to email all of us without breaking.
Well, I
open
know
meetings.
Secretary Ann and I have talked about like maybe a reminder, hey, there's 2 weeks before, and then a
Right,
week
if you have
before.
anything-
Because if takes work, it takes 2 weeks. I think in our rules of procedure, it has to be 2 weeks before the date. And then a week if it's something that we just discussed and don't have to prepare for. So yeah, we talked about doing that and she was gonna put it on an automatic thing.
Yeah,
and-
if we could just get a
Yeah.
heads up, hey,
Yeah.
so far I've got 3 things, okay, there's probably gonna be more, but I got 3, here's what they are, we can be thinking about them, we can be.
But I think that, I can put a reminder out, but I think what, Mr. Jaffe is saying is, like, on the same day, like, I put it out going, hey, this is what we have so far. Just so
Right.
that you guys can, even though it's probably.
Yeah, you
gonna
say,
grow,
hey
but just
guys,
so you can get
two
some-
weeks to
information.
Well,
close, or 1 week to
yeah,
close, here's what I got so far.
Okay.
Well, 2 weeks ahead of time,
Well,
it
whatever it
changes
is.
dramatically.
Well,
Oh my goodness.
But
Yeah.
give
Like,
them-
I don't
And
have,
that's worked well with some of the release petitions. I see them as they get submitted,
Well, again, it's not everything, it's just,
No,
I don't know, I
but as
just, when
that
I,
information comes to you,
when I get it, I
it's easier
just-
to go through it as it comes in and digest it. Like you say, you know, this is what we got so far, than it all coming at one time. So, yeah, I agree with you that as those things are available to come, and you.
I'd like to see some effort given to giving us, you know, it's like, I know this is gonna be on there, so I'm gonna tell you, or I know these two are gonna be on there, so I'm gonna tell you. Yeah, I get the ETJ and other stuff, that's coming at the last second, that's not what worries me, it's like, hey, we're gonna discuss revamping the council structure or something, it's like, well, would have liked to known that more than 5 days ahead.
Yeah, I get that.
Or I might wanna add a separate item on there that relates to that, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, so, we've talked before, some of these towns publish their,
Multiple meetings ahead.
yeah, months ahead. They just kinda have a format, a cookie cutter kind, and we're not quite that way, cause we have a lot of reactive stuff. but- Well, whatever it is,
Well, and they might have full staff too. I mean, we're very limited on our staffing. Okay, Dale Bryant, Shelley Smith, I think she left, Patrick Smith, Doug Kendrick. Okay. All right, anything else?
So this is a non-voting item?
Yeah, I think so. It was good to talk about it though.
No
Yeah.
action.
No action. All right, so number 6, oh, no, that was number 6. Number 7, ordinance amendment for trash allowing for impounding of violating vendors' receptacles. So Councilmember Blake thought he was being very original and came up with this idea of, you know, because we're seeing some dumpsters that are not approved in town and they're just skirting the system, and it's not fair to those who are trying to comply, and it's just, and then we'll cease and desist letters, and they just kind of snub their nose. So he came up with this idea, and I thought it was really creative, and you wanna?
Well, basically what came to mind, my business is in the city of Garland, and whenever I deal with the cars, and whenever there's cars parked in the street that are not in the right spot, they just impound them. And so I thought, why can't we do this with the receptacles? Because there's one on my road that every Tuesday, it's out there, it's a cards thing, and Tuesday before last, I got the cards truck up there emptying the thing. And I know there's been 2 email exchanges with them that she's included me on about stopping it, and they don't. Well, that's why I came with the impound thing. And so she called Blackjack to see if, you know, would they do it, you know? And he says, we already do it.
Do what?
They already do it. They do it in Greenville, so it wasn't his original idea, actually.
Yeah,
They,
it's just-
and here's the brilliant thing about it, is they'll slap the sticker on there, and you got 72 hours to remove this thing, and they've had 100% compliance. 100%. They haven't had to impound one, because just sit and put the sticker on there, they're gonna.
So if it's a vendor, cards, for example, that isn't allowed in the city, hasn't paid all the fees and all this, then that's what this would be applying to.
Yes.
Not to Blackjack or,
No, it's
And
just,
it's
they, you know, the poly carts are exclusive. The
Yeah.
only thing that we have in the dumpsters are exclusive are roll-offs. You could have other vendors as long as they've paid the stuff. But
Right.
if they haven't paid, or they're just here, you can do the dumpsters, the roll-offs. And if there's anything, I was looking at
When
poly
the
carts.
city's gonna walk on private property and put a sticker on there?
You don't know, it's
A dumpster?
It's a dumpster.
They're gonna be off the road.
Well, they do it all the time in Greenville.
but
I'm sure they have code enforcement officers. who
No,
do it.
no.
No, Blackjack does
Blackjack,
it.
because
Blackjack does it.
Because they're
Yeah.
they're authorized to do it.
They're
And that's the way
authorized,
he
yeah.
wrote the
Yeah.
resolution.
for the poly card only.
Well,
No, dumpster, roll-off,
all of it.
polycart, all of it.
I can authorize them to do it, but I can't legally give them permission to enter private property.
What do you think, Mr. Berman?
They can. I'll tell you how it works. First and foremost, if there's a sign or fence that says no trespassing, they can't enter onto private property.
Or purple paint.
I don't know what purple paint does.
Purple paint's the state law.
State of Texas.
State of Texas just recognizes purple paint.
Or purple paint.
Constable, like, he's
Well, we're not the
typing
ones
it
who do it,
here.
we're authorizing the contractor to do it, so they're running the risk. And if there's a rattlesnake out there or somebody with a shotgun, they're the ones who are running the risk, not us. I hate to put it in those terms, but they're the ones that take that chance.
Okay.
But it can be done lawfully, it's not, ordinarily, if you're seizing something without a warrant, that's, it may result in exclusion from evidence of illegally obtained evidence, but that's not what we're talking about here.
And the sticker's one thing, but giving them the right to back their truck up and pick that up too. Now they're bringing their 60,000-pound truck on private property to pick up a dumpster.
They're breaking they're breaking the
But
city law.
I don't want them to ever have to impound anything. The object is is compliance. Stop it. And I know it would with the polycart because that's in our easement at the end of a driveway.
It's
So
not
every
prescriptive
week,
right of ways.
yeah, a prescriptive, but it's still there in a public area that, you know,
And we're not talking about a second can, because Blackjack allows you to put out a second can once a month. Mine says cards on the side.
and that's right, but who better is gonna know whether that's a legal cart than Blackjack? Because they're authorized to pick up stuff in it. I'm not saying we go target all the wrong colored carts. That's why you let Blackjack do, you know. And
They would
now I
know.
could do the one on Tuesday because it's the cards. I watched the cards truck go up to it and I sent her pictures of it.
Yeah.
It's not fair to all of us who are complying, and then these others are just
No, I
skirting
get that.
it.
I
It's
get
just
that.
not fair.
It's basically, we've struck out with flexing against the bigger companies that got money with us, so now we're going to the citizens.
It's not
No,
the
this is not
citizens, it's
against
still
the
the
citizens.
companies.
They could be fined.
No,
No.
it's to the company.
It goes
It's
to-
cards,
So
Titan,
I
whatever.
read it as a citizen could be fined.
Either. Is it
Does it
both?
say that?
No.
Oh, it does say that?
So we couldn't get our money out of cards, so now we're bleeding out.
But
of
I don't
citizens.
wanna find anybody. I want to put the sticker on there and have the company come pick up their dumpster.
It's intimidation.
Well,
That's not intimidation.
it's,
We're gonna impound
it's
it.
peace through
It's
strength.
intimidation if you don't wanna get a money
I
out
want
of it.
I want compliance. I don't want.
Well,
You understand? I want.
It-
I want
here's-
signs.
it's,
Yeah, no, I
the
get
thing
it.
is, they've had 100% compliance and they've been doing it
And that's
for,
great.
I mean, that's amazing.
I don't like the dumpsters. I don't like entering private property. Cans in the prescriptive right of way are one thing. I don't like sending them. No, I guess.
Well, that's on them.
That's on
It's
them.
on, they're the one breaking the law.
Approval.
And
So-
we-
Yeah,
and
the-
I think
the
we've had
ordinance-
one roll off that's, for how many weeks, that's not paid the,
Yep. Now,
will the new owner?
the new
Respect.
owner did look into, what it took, they didn't show up today though. What it took to become an approved roll-off vendor. They did ask, but they haven't yet.
Yeah.
So currently it is illegal. It is
For
illegal.
how many weeks has it been illegal?
I have sent out notices, it's been for 6 months. 6 months it's been illegal.
And you knew about this too, Mike.
And then the
I
cards,
mean, you know which one we're talking about? The roll off
that's been illegal for 6 months on your corner.
no?
No?
Okay.
Okay. It's pretty,
Well, I can
it's
imagine.
bold and purple. Okay,
I'm
well,
sure I've seen it.
So do y'all wanna walk through this or, cause there's just a few, I got a few highlights of
okay,
Yes, I think we should.
yeah.
5B, I don't like it shall be unlawful. I think this is our first ordinance that we wrote, we used the word unlawful. Is there another way? I don't want this to be unlawful. Anytime you don't follow a rule, isn't it unlawful?
Sure.
I don't know. That's just me personally.
Well, how about just, it's a violation, it should be a violation.
It shall be a violation for any person, but this is back to the person, so if that was not the intent of your reason, you're beginning this, then if the fine goes to the vendor, that's one thing, but this is a violation of a person.
Well, I know what my intent was, but I'm not an attorney, so I didn't write it. So I defer to his judgment on those things.
I think our original ordinance gives us a bit of latitude to issue citations to property owners who are contracting illegally with rogue vendors.
Okay.
I can rewrite that for a sentence to say that no person shall place or use an unauthorized waste container. It means exactly the same thing, it just.
I just don't like the word unlawful.
Well, we'll let him change that then.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, if we can write it another way, I don't like the word unlawful.
All right,
well, they're being unlawful.
What
I-
I'll.
Maybe they're gonna argue with you can't produce a map that you can defend, and they don't think they're unlawful.
That's a stretch.
Yeah.
That's a stretch.
So, carrying on, the town or its authorized contractor, so is everyone okay with the authorized contractor making that notification on the?
Yeah, because don't they put it on there, take a picture of it?
Yeah.
And then you notify.
And then they'll send it, they can send it to me, and then, that way, and like I said,
Keeps you in the loop.
Dick Demi, they have been great at communication. I mean, amazing.
Well, I mean, really, it's, as Mr. Berman says, it's a problem. What's the problem if he doesn't? It didn't.
Question is it a legal notification? I thought a certified mail was only legal notification of that violation. No.
The big bold sticker.
Orange sticker on the side.
They tow cars.
My kid brings the trash can up, puts it behind the house, and I didn't know it. Is that
It's
a
not gonna
legal
be impounded
notification?
it's not gonna be impounded from behind your house because you moved it. It'll be there for 24 hours or next business day.
Well, I'm saying that they come by and put a sticker on it.
Right.
My minor, who's not legally obligated to do anything, puts it behind my house and I don't see it for 3 weeks. Is that a legal notification?
Oh, well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well,
So
and
sorry.
Heard it here first.
Shouldn't be using a legal container in the first place.
That's right.
Hate to say
that's
that.
right, that's not training the youngins right. All right, so I will say. All right,
It's a
so
hypothetical. It's not
on,
real.
I will say that the top section 2024-0601 is what this would be called. And then the fill in the blanks here on the second line would be ordinance number 2023-12-01. And then that first or second well, I guess the third paragraph, whereas on December 21st, 2023, the Town Council of the Town of Poetry adopted ordinance number 2023-12-01. Same thing on that next paragraph, 2023-12-01. And then on the next page, I think it's this amendment, 2024-0601. I think those are the
On
number
section
dates.
2,
On section 2, yes, sir.
it's what, 2024?
It's 0601, it's the same title of this amendment ordinance.
Well, I think it's a good attempt, Jonathan. Thank you.
I thought it was pretty creative, yeah,
We'll see if it works.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Number 7, Del Bryant. Okay, do you all have, now, I can design a label, I could put it on the forum, or I can just design it, you want bright orange, bright green, or is there a color that's better?
I wasn't unhappy with the one that Dick sent out.
So just,
What gives you the legality to take this to court? There's not a ticket issued. I'm trying to get my head around that again, because this is the same problem we've had with other vendors. How do we get them to court to implement the fine?
If we wanted to impose a fine, we'd have to have either a code enforcement officer or a law enforcement officer write them a ticket.
So again, we can't assess fines on this.
We could, but
It's a bluff. You're
it-
bluffing.
it's not a bluff.
No.
Because
No,
in
the
theory,
impoundment's not.
the impoundment's not a bluff.
But everything
They
about
would
the
have
up to the $500
in
fine
theory,
is
we
listed.
could have a deputy sheriff write someone a ticket. It would be prosecuted in the appropriate local JP court.
So the county sheriff could possibly come out here and write the ticket.
Yep,
Yes.
absolutely.
They can enforce city rules.
Yes.
All right, so,
Likelihood of that?
He says no.
Slim to none.
slim to none.
Slim to none.
On this,
Likelihood of 0?
We can get state troopers out here to do it.
well,
If they won't do it, we
so
get state troopers.
Mayor Craig said in Union Valley, when they have a zoning problem, like once a year, it's not very often, they take it to the majeure. He said the force majeure, and then they issue them the ticket. And the,
What?
yeah, that's what he said.
Get that number.
I know.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know. All right, so on this sticker, okay, this is Greenville, notice of violation. Is there anything that you would like to change on this notice? Because I'm gonna just put Town of Poetry, put exactly what this has, unless you want to do something different.
I guess I would defer to Mr. Blake myself. If Mr. Blake is happy, since it was his idea, and I think it's a good idea,
Well,
I'll defer to Mr. Blake.
Why reinvent? I mean, this looks good.
Well,
It's
there you go.
green. It's bright green.
That's,
Now, the other thing that he said is they charge $250 to pick up like a roll-off, and then we can charge for administrative cost. He said another $100.
One thing that you guys want to consider is you can adopt a fee for this. I didn't put a blank in the ordinance because we don't know what the fees are going to be yet anyway.
Well, he
So-
said $250 for a roll-off, $50 for a dumpster, and then whatever our administrative cost wants to be.
Motion second and vote on the imposition of a fee, but it's got to be based on the roll-off versus dumpster versus polycart,
Yeah.
so.
So he said, he said that's what they,
So you don't have to adopt that tonight, you can do it next time if you want, but that could be a simple motion second and vote.
can we get it done tonight? I mean, it's not that hard.
If you got numbers, yeah.
All right, yeah, I do. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I already talked to Dick about it, Blackjack. He said it would take $250 to pick up a roll-off dumpster, and then $50 for a poly cart.
So
And then
The two big ones are the
he said
250.
Greenville, you know, they set it at $250, then a $100 administrative cost, so it'd be $350 to get your roll-off out of, Hawk, out of impoundment. And then, but if you had a poly cart, you know, it's $50. And then if,
Can I ask you a question? Does Blackjack, does it provide the labels, or we have to provide them to Blackjack?
we would provide them, so we can have them put in, but, they slap them on
Is
as
there any
needed.
audience,
No.
I had one and he declined, so.
okay, well then I'd make a motion, we accept it.
Can I make one more ask?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. On section C, I support you're trying to get, people to participate, and I appreciate that. But in part C, is there a need to go through the in-person, telephone, and all that? Can we just send them a letter? I don't want the confrontation on the street. I don't want one of y'all pulling up out there and notifying a citizen when we can just send them a letter. Y'all can, the vendor can put the sticker on there if that's what they choose, but as far as notification, I'd rather not have it over the phone or in person. Can we just send them a letter? You've been notified? Just trying to reduce, I mean, some people
Well,
will be
if-
salty on this, I'm telling you.
Yeah, letter and or sticker, you could if you wanted to.
And or.
And/or,
I would
okay.
take the in-person and telephone notifications out.
Well, is this notification of
The owner or the
the
vendor?
owner or the vendor?
Well, I think this is synonymous to both all the way through this document.
Well, sometimes we don't have the mailing address sometimes.
They have a house address, if they don't have that, well then, okay, I get it, they may have a P.O. box. But I would say 90% of the people out here have a mailbox at the end of
Well,
their.
Blackjack's
Well,
gonna have an address.
They're gonna have a billing address, so they
to
will.
somebody on the
So,
I would
yeah,
just ask not to have a personal, either phone or.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
So we,
in times, excuse me, when we've had, sometimes I'll say, hey, this is a courtesy call, you know, just, did you realize you're in, you know, this violation? You know, hey, I wanna give you some
she don't
grace
mind making the
here.
phone calls.
I mean, I have, and I had one roll-off
That's just my
vendor who,
recommendation.
so can we just put or, because there are times when a telephone is better, you know, when I say, hey, you're in violation, did you know? I'm sure you didn't know, but sometimes,
It's
I
like
don't know.
something that Marlon Brando did in The Godfather. You didn't see this in the movie?
Yeah, but I don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
So can we do telephone or letter, like give some leeway there, not that we have to do telephone?
Yeah, I'm just trying to reduce any chance that a volunteer gets assaulted or
Yeah, I hear you.
or a verbal.
And so we could, in theory, take out 1, 2, 3, 4 on the fifth line, fourth word in.
Notice.
The sentence that says notice may be in person.
Yes, sir.
If the owner or occupant is found on the premises where the container is located.
Just take that
We can
sentence.
simply strike that sentence out entirely, but leave the balance as is. Notice can be provided by telephone if the phone number is listed on the container itself.
That's fine.
Okay.
Don't have
Anything else?
no problem with that.
Okay, so Tom, change your motion to include that amendment.
We got 2 amendments so far.
Yeah. As
Any
amended.
other- yeah, Any other
I
amendments?
make a motion, we accept it with the 2 amendments just discussed.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Anderson to accept this ordinance with the 2 amendments, according to Berman. It's amendments, and seconded by Blake. All those in favor? And that passes 4-0.
Do we want to talk about the fees at this point?
So are you guys good with what he told me? Dick said they normally charge $250 to pick up the roll-off, because then they have to,
So we would have to pay that to Blackjack? Or they're gonna?
the
collect-
vendor,
collect it.
the vendor, yeah, in
Like a
order to,
record company, they're gonna make money on the.
in order to get their roll-off back, they would have to pay the $250 plus whatever administrative fee we want. Now, I don't think we can make a profit, but, right?
Our fees need to be based on a break-even analysis. The expectation is that we don't make a profit, we just simply get full
I
cost
mean-
recovery.
Okay, $25 would cover like,
Stickers and time to.
yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know. They can be expensive. I mean,
Can the fees be changed if we find out we're making a profit?
Anytime you want.
Okay.
okay.
Well, I'm not opposed to the 25. I'm not, see, I don't really care about, my intent was not to fine.
Cover
or to
secretary
punish
time,
somebody.
yeah.
It was to have compliance.
Yeah. So the $250 for a roll-off plus $25 administrative costs, sticker time, writing a letter. I mean, of course, if we have to consult the attorney, that could run into more. I don't want to go in the hole either. So,
Just start with 25.
25
Okay.
on both things, polycarbonate.
We go in the hole, we'll change it.
Yeah.
okay, so 50 for the polycart plus 25 administrative costs, 250 for a roll-off plus 25, yeah.
Jonathan, hopefully we never have a single plan.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And we're good with the green? Okay.
yeah.
All right. You want fluorescent orange?
That's the way the stickers are in the city of Garland. Well,
You don't want it? What'd you say?
No, he's saying
I like fluorescent colors, I like
do
bright
too.
orange,
Well-
and the electric colors, but that's.
what the highway
I mean, that one stands out, I mean, that's.
Tamil or Dayglow orange is the standard for.
Yeah.
What color are blackjacks?
they're,
Well, Greenville is the green, the green.
Black.
Oh,
yeah, that's
well,
what I was
I'm not
thinking.
opposed to the fluorescent stuff.
I guess
Pick a
anything will
color.
show up. then.
well, I guess we'll price it out and
I like orange.
He likes orange. They want orange. Let's do orange.
you want it
Fluorescent
orange?
orange.
Is that okay with you?
I mean, cause it's just, nothing is normally painted fluorescent orange. It's
Will it
just
show
like-
up on a card's container?
Black, it'll show up really well.
Yeah, that's
It's not fluorescent orange. It's just orange.
Oh, they're
orange.
orange, they're bright, yeah.
That's, so, a little contrast, yellow.
Okay, with a fluorescent green border.
That will
And
be more
lights that
expensive,
go
we have to
off.
do one color.
Can we print a target on them, so
Yeah.
that time of year we can?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, make
All
it-
right,
make
it's
it
getting late,
non-removable,
guys.
Like the Tupperware stuff you buy at Walmart, so you can't get the sticker off ever.
Well, on a orange poly cart, the orange not gonna show up too.
Yeah, that's a joke.
All right,
Whatever color you want.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as the verbiage.
I'll ask Dick what he would rather, maybe he wants green for Greenville and orange for poetry, I don't know. Okay,
Yeah. Purple, we're purple.
purple, we could do purple, we'll see. That would show up.
Oh, I should have never said that.
All right, moving on, number 8.
I'm sorry, are we voting on the fees or is that a non?
No.
Are we gonna vote, should we vote?
We already voted.
Yes, we should vote on the fees.
Okay,
Not on the fees.
is there a motion for the fees?
Motion to accept the fees as determined, 50 plus 25 and 250 plus 25 for the impoundment fees and administrative fees.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Oh, okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Blake, seconded by Anderson to include the impoundment fees, $250 for a roll-off plus 25 administrative fee, and for a polycart, $50 plus 25 administrative fee. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Okay, all right, moving on. Number 8, agriculture scholarship was only at $419.10 currently. Last year, we had $1,500. I think you're good to go. It was so much fun, right?
I'm gonna pack up this tea.
I love you, but you need to leave.
You don't have to go home, you just can't stay here.
I know, the clock is ticking. Thank you so much, David, appreciate it.
And where are the donations collected? Is it in the office here? or-
Well, we have a little. Where did it go? Oh, here. Anna made this. We have $5 in there right now, so we actually have $424 in. Anyway, last year it was $1,500. Of course, it was an election year, and thank you. You have a good evening.
Okay. I know.
So, it just seemed like a shame that, the recipient this year would get quite a bit less. So we're just asking everyone to try and donate. If you can pull out a 5 or 10, that would help. And this is a student who, the applicant, we have one applicant, student from PCCS, very accomplished young lady. So I'd really like to see us give a little bit more if we could. So anyway, just wanted to put that out there.
That will be available at Tac and
Yes.
Ag after tonight.
Yeah, and it's here at Town Hall, and hopefully we'll get enough for next meeting. It just seemed like dismal amount, and I think we could do better. So, that's all. Was there any? No one to speak on that one. All right, number 9, allowing Waldo Enriquez to cut the 2 dead trees in the prescriptive right-of-way on 249 for $2,500. His wife sent an original, and it included tax, so I asked him to resend it, and then that one was messed up. So, but I do finally have an invoice, or a quote for $2,500. And then he said, if you want to grind the stump, it's an additional $600.
Did we find out about insurance and shutting the road down and all that?
He does have insurance and he's bonded, and we can call to have, I mean, if he's quick about it.
Once you crush the first car, everybody else will stop.
Block the road.
But I would like to instruct him that, hey, we'd like to have maybe TBS or constable or something out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's 30 minutes minimal before it's passable.
And they'll just have to go around. And maybe, is there a time that we should recommend? Like, would it be, is there a certain
Not
time?
first thing in the morning and
And
not
not late at night, just sometime in the middle of the
Not when
day, it's
people
pretty
trying to
dead.
get to work and get home.
Yeah, not
Mid-morning would
early.
be ideal, probably.
Mid-morning, but not early.
You know, my only comment on this, Tara, I was driving around the other day and just, for some reason, this topic popped up in my head, all the trees that are like in our right of way, and I thought, you know, once we start this and we discuss that, I mean, it's never ending. I mean, we could spend millions of dollars, so, and I don't think most citizens are gonna come and say, hey, take care of the trees. Most people just kind of figure it out, and in this circumstance, I don't know, but anyway,
Not
just,
much
it
else.
continues to occur to me that we gotta be careful that we start setting precedent. Well, they'll take care of your trees, just call them.
Well, now, I noticed in the last meeting minutes that Hunt County's gonna take care of Browns.
But we're paying them $3,000 or $3,200
Okay,
or whatever.
right, but they've got the bucket to do it.
Right.
But this is in Kaufman, so it doesn't work.
Well, until we
Right.
get another ILA, and then maybe it will.
Well, okay, yeah,
Well,
but
but we pay something.
Yeah, we're gonna pay something. But I mean, to your point,
Okay.
yes, we've lamented that, but I think to Simeon's point, it's case by case, and if it's deemed a safety hazard, then we probably should address it.
well, yeah, and I don't have any problem with the $2,500 as a.
I think that's
cut up
really
trees.
reasonable.
I wouldn't worry about the grinding, cause that's not unless it was a,
It'll go away.
yeah, and that's not the hazard. Hazard is what's up, falling down.
Yeah.
So I'd make unless anybody has any comments.
Let me see, 9.
I'd make a motion, we accept it.
All right, so wait, we gotta, no one signed up for 9. Okay, we're good. All right, so we have a motion by Anderson, second by Blake. All those in favor? And that passes 4-0. All right, number 10, engineering to perform bore testing into 3 roads in town for professional advice on refurbishment requirements. Now, I had emailed them, they must be really busy on projects because he said in one email that because it's a residential road, that,
What road are we talking about?
for-
You could do this with a shovel for most of our.
well, I was actually, 4 Post Lane was the one I was referring to.
Did we get anything in our packet on this, or we just?
No, I was hoping to get something from him. I solicited him last week, but, in fact, he told me I could call him. So I'm gonna see if I can reach him via phone.
You're calling now?
So,
I told
Last time
him,
we did that, it didn't work well.
so is this the
He
bore
just blocked
testing
your
with a
number
drill?
out.
To
actually,
drill
he
into the-
answered.
It's the drill to bring out the machine?
Well, he said on this residential road, he admit, and I got a little confused. He said that on like the pass-through road, like 249, that would be necessary. But on the residential road, he just said, hey, you'd probably be just fine with doing, the chip seal, like a double chip seal, do the scarifying and do that. And I asked him about drainage, and he said, well, and they could look at it, but it could be $8,000 to $10,000. He said, just do the road, is what he was saying in his via email.
Well, what's the bore testing?
The bore testing was something that he suggested geotechnical can come out, but again, it's $8,000 to $10,000. He
Yeah.
suggested that for 249, but not for like 4-Post Lane. Because it's a pass-through road. He said the residential roads don't need that. They don't have all the traffic that
But
Poetry
then you do the
has.
bore testing and go down, whatever, 2 feet or something like that, then what do we do?
And then they tell you what is it comprised of, and then they can make recommendations based on that geotechnical information.
But then that's really expensive to
It
strip all
is.
that up. So
It
if you
is.
get all that information from the bore testing, then we still can't do much until we have a big contract to really rip it out and go down.
Right, we
foot or
don't
something.
have the funds,
Right.
yet to do that, but on 4-Post Lane, it's only a half a mile. We have the opportunity, possibly, to refurbish a half a mile of road if we wanted to. And it is
When you say
arguably
repurpose, you're talking about
scarifying, resurfacing, because
And I
it
thought
is
we had this
arguably,
conversation before too. We still have rock roads in here, so before we start resurfacing roads, we was gonna finish rock roads.
I never said that.
Well, I know we talked about it, I didn't say you
So
said
what
that.
rock roads?
There's several rock roads, I live on. a
But they're
rock road.
not, are they poetry roads? Are they
I live on a rock road.
private roads?
I don't live on a
County
county
road.
road.
Yeah, county road.
So there's
Well, the
rock-
first part of your road is paved, right? And the second
I'm
part,
just saying, we had the conversation before
Okay.
we was gonna start resealing and repaving.
but there's only
everywhere.
2 people on that road.
Okay, but
Right.
refurbishment is way more than what we have in our road.
But
So
no
why
refurbishment, well, the refurbishment could be
I wish mine was.
$70,000
No,
for
'cause
half a
I'm the only
mile.
one maintaining mine.
We
But
have
that'd
that.
wipe out all of our
700
funds.
rock on it. Nobody-
I
Well-
think it's premature to do this now. You know, if we were sitting on $1 million, it'd be different. But, you know, we can't, if you do the bore, which is expensive, and you find out, yeah, it's got bad substructure, which we know. Most of our, we all know they have
They're
bad
just dirt with some rock and oil on them. I mean,
back when they put it in the 60s or 50s, whatever, they didn't rip it all up and, you know, put down,
No, they have ripped up roads and
249,
redone
yeah.
them. Yeah, no, they have. And actually, if you've looked at 4-Post Lane, it is arguably the worst road in Poetry. Now, it is disintegrating. There is not much of a road left. I mean, they'll try and patch it, but the last time they tried to patch it, they were having to spread asphalt across the whole thing. So what I'm getting at is we potentially could get a quote on that half a mile, and we potentially could handle getting that one scarified and redone. Because it's beyond pothole fixing at
Well,
this
but
point.
to Tom's point, I think the boring is a waste of time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is,
But
I was
Also,
misunderstanding.
we don't have an agenda item to redo that road, so I don't know that we can do anything tonight to approve. I
On
don't
re-
disagree with the idea of fixing the road, but I think the fix is gonna be, like you say, to come in with a milling machine, grind it up,
Mm-hmm.
scrape it up, whatever, and just
yeah,
resurface
you
it. I mean,
you gotta put a lot of substructure in, and a lot of roads need that.
Right.
Now, it's, granted, some are worse than others, but
You know, one of the worst roads we have is Holly Creek, and those citizens pay the same franchise fees and everything, but we
That's a
won't never
pri-
spend $1 on that.
That's that's a private road,
Unless they turn it over to us.
but they haven't.
I get that, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, there's other bad roads in this town.
But they did spend some money, but that's a private road. We cannot by law spend any money on private
And
roads.
I guess my point is, okay, in a couple of years or 3 years or whatever, we had more money and we could do more, then you had to do some more testing before we did refurbishment, but we have 70 or 80,000 in that fund, that's not enough to do much of the refurbishment, other than put on the seal or something like that, chip seal. So I wouldn't worry about the bore testing now, that's something to do later.
So the bore testing, again, that was on the pass-through roads. For the county roads, our town roads, we don't need that. And I just found that out today. He was saying we don't need that for just the little county roads that don't have a lot of traffic. So what he was saying was, look, you can fall, he goes, an experienced road person can tell you what is needed, and we could probably agree with that.
But we
So
don't, I think to Tom's point, we don't have the funds to take on one of those big roads.
Now.
So
if it were $50,000, would you feel like we would?
To do the road?
to do a half a mile of road.
For how many people and for what? See,
Well-
I think that's too early. There's not a lot of
How much money needs to be spent on 249 between now and January just to make it continually passable through the wet fall and winter?
Well, we are getting close to $8,000 to $9,000 a month for that, but yeah, we're not spending more than that. We have approved 3,000, so even if we're getting $8,000 to $9,000, that will take care of any of the pothole repair.
Makes me uncomfortable what the balance would be in that account if we spent that much money.
If we spent 50,000?
Yeah, that's.
I agree.
I don't-
You don't feel comfortable putting, I mean, we have
You
citizens.
had 3 times that amount in the account right now. Maybe we might talk about it, but that's just not enough margin.
I mean, we started with nothing. We started with 10,000.
I know.
And we've continually built up, but meanwhile, we have citizens that do not have a decent road.
And,
Well, but I
and
think-
2458 has been repaired, and I could claim that it needs repair again.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't adequate. So the Autobahn is going
The
to
Autobahn.
continue to take our money.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't be comfortable,
Have you guys driven Four Post Lane?
I have,
yeah.
as Nancy can speak, I did reply to her emails, I did get out. and measure that.
So, I mean, 323 has gotten bad since the rain, but it's not even as bad as that road. Because it's literally disintegrating. And I just feel like if,
Okay, but the issue is bore testing.
no. The issue
That's
is,
the agenda item.
the agenda item is refurbishment requirements.
Says-
Engineering,
Oh, I see.
engineering and, okay, so,
I'll refer to, okay.
yeah. It's meant to be a little more broad than just bore testing.
Okay, what do we think the cost of this is?
Well, I don't know. Can council decide on maybe having,
You can get bids.
get quotes on what it might
We can only
be?
get bids,
Well,
but
no, I guess I'd just say, look, you have engineering, that's our contract, let them come out and do whatever we can have them do to see what it'd take to refurbish, and then see if we need to, do bore testing or whatever. Before we spend a lot of money, yeah, you may need, but to have the idea of, okay, have engineering come out and look at that road, and then we can come back and say, okay, are we wanting to spend that money? But
He
I-
did,
Not a problem with that, I just problem with going after bore testing now.
so he did, come out, he did, because I said, look, am I wrong? I've driven these roads for 4 years faithfully, like monthly. Am I wrong? Is this road, like, number one, the worst? And he said, I think, he goes, you don't have to be an expert, you have eyes. And I'm like, well, this is, in my opinion, the worst road that I have.
You can't say it's the worst, he is wrong. You can't imply that he said it's the worst.
Well, he said,
You're
I know.
implying that, and you can't imply that.
well, and I did encourage him to drive those, and he has driven several of our
I
roads,
don't
but,
want to put words in his mouth.
but he did, that's what he said.
So the issue then is to get the engineering to tell us what it'd cost to do some work to make it passable.
to me, just get a road contractor to give you a bid.
And then see if engineering aligns.
Get 3
with it.
competent bids from doing the half mile. I'm not gonna say that we can afford to have it done, but
Then we decide.
I don't think an engineer's gonna tell us anything about that. The contractor's gonna go to it and say, well,
That's-
how long, with doing what you're doing, how long do you think it would
Yeah,
last?
that's fair enough, and then we'll decide.
Yeah, cause we're not spending
Okay.
any money that way.
But part of that conversation is also a look at the drainage. If there's
Yeah.
clogged, waterways that are pushing water onto
On
the
the road,
road,
oh, I know.
you
That's
address
it.
them at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, but.
Cause y'all have that issue on your road over here.
Oh,
that
yeah.
The citizens have emailed us about.
Oh, yeah, I've sent her pictures and stuff and showed her where there are no ditches.
That's what's tearing up 2326 down by the
That's,
creek.
that's what I'm talking
That's what
about.
we're talking
Every
about.
time water goes over the road, it's gonna eat it up.
I went out in the thunderstorm and took pictures and video of that, so you could see the water coming out of the ditch into the road.
So Jonathan's saying, hey, just get 3 bids from contractors, road contractors.
And then let
small road.
engineer see what they think about it.
See what they-
Okay, all right.
Maybe Hunt County who they might use for a subcontractor.
Well,
to do
we can
something.
get a Texas bid.
Well, we should get them to look at different roads, like 4 Post, that type of a road versus 249, that type of road.
Sure, if they're willing to
Well, I know we don't have money
We
for
don't have the money to-
249.
I hate to have them spend their time on 249.
Yeah, we don't have the money, we already know that. Now, on some of the roads, if they have, I've been working with the grant fellow, if a road is less than 50% in the poverty level, like Brian Vinson was telling me, well, I think that 323 would qualify for that. I'm like, really? Maybe it would. I don't know. That was his suggestion, and that road we could put into that grant, but it does have to be in the poverty level, at least 50% of the occupancy. The people on the road have to be, at least 50% of them have to be in the poverty level, and he said he thought that this 323 would qualify.
What about the option of grinding it and making it a rock road? I like that.
Well, I don't know if the citizens,
I like that.
I hate that idea. Do you know rock roads, like you can dust in the morning and by afternoon, like there's dust all over your furniture, like.
Move the rock wall or heat, you won't have that problem.
But yeah, but
You
how
don't
far
dust.
back do you may not dust.
Do you
but-
dust?
No, if you live real close, and then in that road, the citizens are really close.
I'm not saying it's the way. I'm like, why don't you ask the contractor what that looks like? Grind it up and put an oil coat on it.
Well, then the rocks wash off, you have to keep putting the rocks
I'm not
back
saying
on.
it's the end all be all, but I think you're fixing to get an exorbitant price that Jonathan Blake's not gonna vote for. So how about option B?
Direct like these.
Like Europe.
How much
Option B. Okay, all right, well, I don't know that the citizens would go for that, but that's an option.
Get on
Grind up
They
and
can
get
tell us
gravel.
if they go for it in May, if that's the decision they make.
All right, let's move on. Number 11, new signs and types of signs needed in town, replacing 2 stolen signs. All right, so we had 2 entrance signs stolen. Sadly, we got a thief among us.
Is that the, talk about the town of poetry green thing? Oh, yeah?
Even though we had the anti-theft post attachments.
Whatever. They left the post.
They left the post.
I'm telling you, any of these fancy signs you put out are gonna be
Well,
collector's
TxDOT, he's like, you know, your sign is missing. Like, they put it up for us, but
You just paint it on an old 2x4 or something, they won't steal it.
that's classy. All right, so we did try and give you, now we went to I think Mr. Fowler mentioned this. So I did talk to Brittany of Hunt County. She said they do Tuesdays and threesies at a time, maybe 10 at a time. They don't get any special contract.
They don't have a co-op that
They don't have a co-op they buy from. They said that's a no-go. There's just, yeah. So I did try.
Okay, so we need 2 entry signs.
We need 2 entry signs to replace the ones that were
Probably ought to
stolen.
get 3 and just have one in the file cabinet, so when they steal it again.
You're encouraging theft.
No, I'm just acknowledging the fact that that's, you probably find it
Well,
out on,
it lasted what, a year or 2?
find it out on
year and a half.
eBay or something.
Anyway.
It's like, oh, how cute, I got married here, now I want one of the signs, let me grab it.
Oh.
They can still get them.
Well, we had them. No, yeah, we had them on there.
There's one way to do it, that it keep it, is have Fowler welded on.
Yeah.
Have Fowler welded?
As a minority owner,
There you
I'm
go.
gonna tell you no.
Welded
A minority owner?
I'm the minority owner.
You are?
Or electrocute them.
I hear you're a really good welder. All right, so we do, right above that, we do have, now I wanted to kind of get your feedback on this. So they would only allow, it says you wanted brown, so this says Historic League Line Road in brown with white letters, and this one has, you could put like a little historic symbol and then League Line Road.
I like the top
I like the top one.
Do you like the top one?
Yeah.
Well, I think it says historic.
It says historic, you can't read it.
Yeah.
But it's tiny, so I don't know. I just-
This one
I
doesn't
think
say
everybody
road.
that lives out there is gonna know what it means.
Huh?
It's not
Still does
confusing.
say road, yeah.
But my concern with that one is, okay, is 911 gonna get that confused?
No, because they're gonna have the other street sign above it.
Right.
'Cause
It's
if
gonna
it
be
says-
historic, people are used to seeing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Historic.
All
So
right.
those are gonna be brown and our regular signs are gonna be green.
Now, I thought we were being kind of original, but after looking and studying the signs, we're not at all. So Rockwall, Rowlett, Terrell are all green background with white letters
Well,
on it.
trees are not that color. I was thinking about that
Yeah.
driving up here. It's like, my trees aren't that color, so it's a
They're not,
different green.
yeah. And they all, and the option with this, company that does most of them is only a green background with white letters. Or if you do a white background, they'll do black letters. But that, they don't have any other
The street
options.
signs, the difference is one is like more reflective or something, or lasts
So-
longer, or.
Yes, the diamond grade.
Two versions, there's a cheap and a.
Now, on this page, I don't know if you can see this, we need 10 stop signs. This is diamond grade, now 10, so it's $56.45 a sign, or, excuse me, $56.45 per sign. That's the highest grade, diamond grade reflective, 80 mil aluminum. And that is the 24 inch by 24 inch. And then, so I think we needed 10 of those, so that's $564.50. This one down here is 9 inches by 30 inches, so it's a big sign. But after looking at some of the other cities, they do some of the bigger signs. I don't know what this council wants to do, but I thought I would put it there as a, throw it out there. So the diamond one reflective is $71.45 for the 9 inch by 30 inch.
These are 9-inch tall.
Even though it's hard to see on here, but it's
Yeah.
9 inch. So the little ones are 6 inch. The 9
I think
inch.
that's what we're used to out here.
We're used to the
6 by
6 inch.
24.
Yeah, I like the 6-inch myself.
Yeah.
It's not kind of in your face.
I do like the larger CR that's on the brown one as opposed to the green one. I don't know if that's an option. Yeah, they have a
Yeah.
little-
Oh, you like the larger CR?
Yeah, larger CR.
Okay,
would
I
be-
don't know. We can try.
That would be the, and I like the diamond grade reflective, because when you look at how, the difference in cost and how long they last, it's a better value.
Yeah, so it lasts 10 plus years where the other one lasts 7 years,
Yeah.
I think. And it's like $6 more or something. And then, so I was looking at all this, and of course, we need some more speed limit signs. There's several that are missing. I think Constable Johnson had said it needs to be on the right-hand side in a westbound lane, and we have several that aren't there, like they're just missing. So with all of this, the kids, the hardware.
There's no post in here anywhere, right?
There is not any post, and I know after talking with Brittany, she said, look, you can order one, and the shipping's gonna cost you $300, or you can order a whole slew of them, and the shipping's $300. But what I've seen is you can go to Home Depot, pick up, and don't have to pay shipping at all. Of course, it's, someone's pickup truck, but it saves a bunch of money on freight. The last time we did order, I'm like, dang, I could have gotten these at Home Depot and just saved that freight, but, so.
Is Unistrut, is it the stuff with the holes all the way down there?
Yeah, they sell it there, and I think it's more economical there, so that's kind of what my thought was on that. We just,
Okay,
But-
we're gonna need posts.
We are,
We don't need
yeah.
to get them here, but we're gonna need them.
I mean, we have some posts, but until we get more in the nitty gritty, but I'm thinking we're gonna need at least $4,000 to cover, when I'm calculating, okay, because I can't do every, it'd be lots of pages here to show every single street sign that we need. But in order, like I said, it's,
Are we gonna get more than one league line? I mean, there's,
At least one at either end, but.
yeah, I
I'd
was
like
gonna
to
say, you need a couple at least.
Yeah.
and so you guys
Top
like
one.
the top one?
Yep.
Is that concurrent? I mean, you guys concur with that? So is there any, so that's $43. Are you thinking we'll need 3 of
What fund is
those?
this coming out of? Like,
It roads.
Roads.
It comes out of road
Out
fund.
of 6,100?
Yeah, I'd get at least 2, one at each end, whatever the
Okay.
ends are, maybe 3, I don't know, for when they steal it, they'll have an extra.
For the legal line, you got one at each end, but you got the road that cuts to the
Get the
sand pit.
intersections.
You got 2 at Grandy Bird. I mean, where all do you wanna put them?
Well, let's start at the end, and
Ends.
we'll see how popular it is, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's, when you say popular, you're saying how long it'll last? Is that what you're saying?
that, and people like it or not, I think it's a cool idea, I think we need to reclaim as much of our history in that way.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, two of them is gonna draw a lot of attention, cause people
It's
are like,
gonna
wow, that's neat.
It's gonna confuse everybody who hadn't been here forever. They all think that's Poetry Road.
And we're going with the 6x36 on those.
Yeah.
Okay, and the diamond, you guys wanna do the diamond?
Diamond, yeah.
We're gonna get 3 Town of Poetries, 2 to put up, 1 for replacement.
And then the U-channel post bracket, it's $10.95 for that U-channel bracket. But we need like 53 of them is what I was calculating.
What's the diameter of the post?
It's the U-channel post bracket. Now, we'll,
That goes into the top of a square post, don't it?
If you're putting legal line in the county road,
Yeah, both the same way. There has to be one that
There has
joins
to be
2
a-
signs in the same direction.
Yeah, there has to be another.
so you can see the cross piece here?
No, that's the wrong way.
No,
though.
that's
they both have
perpendicular,
to
they gotta be parallel.
Stacked,
It has to be one that goes to the top of this and the bottom of that.
yeah.
So they're
For
both
which
gonna be in
one?
the same direction. Well, it's not here, but I'm sure they sell them.
Yeah, for league line and.
When you're running
Oh.
two signs, historic.
Yeah,
road
you don't wanna turn
249.
legal line crooked, cause that's not it. Legal
Yeah.
line is the same way as the road.
Yeah, that's a special bracket. Hopefully
Yeah.
they have it.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yeah, because I've
So-
seen stacked.
So
posts on it.
is there a council member who would like to assist me in ordering this, all this?
No, I can do that, I don't. yeah.
Okay.
I'm going
I would just
hard
like-
with Developers.
I would
I
just
can help
like
you
some
with
help
the
with
detail. Yeah,
the
I'll help
detail, cause I mean, this is a lot of detail and money. So we do have a citizen, Del Bryant. Did you wanna speak on this? Okay.
So does the council need to approve of
A budget
Budget
amount?
number?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a total?
Well, I was doing a preliminary total of, I think it's gonna, well, without the post,
something around 5,000 maybe?
I think
total?
5,000 would get it. I'm thinking it would cost around 4,000, but that wasn't with the post. So,
Whatever
and-
signed up.
So how many posts do we need?
well, that's yet to be seen because there's some posts that we can reuse, but some
Right.
we can't. And so
Right.
until we actually get into the nitty gritty, we won't really, I mean, we're gonna have to
Do
go
these
through.
posts just go in the ground, we just.
No,
do
they
them?
take concrete.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
there's gotta be some.
Concrete.
Harder to pull.
Yeah, and
Can we
someone,
use
and
some of
someone to dig them.
Can't we use some of that foam stuff? It sets up faster.
Yeah, what do you think about that foam?
I ain't never used it.
I think it works good on telephone
Telephone
poles.
poles.
It works on the telephone poles and
Don't pour it all
it's
over the top.
expensive though.
I think concrete's cheaper.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
it's just heavier.
it's harder.
Good idea. They don't walk off.
All right, so is there a motion on this one? It's late.
To approve up to $5,000.
Yeah.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Jaffe, seconded by Blake, to allow up to $5,000 for new signage for the town, including hardware. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. And that does come out of the road fund. Okay. General comments. Are there any general? Oh, yes, ma'am. Okay, Nancy Harkreader. Okay. Del Bryant? Shelley Smith? She's gone. Okay. Patrick Smith is gone. Kevin Sinkovich? Wow. Okay. The time is 9:57. Meeting adjourned.
Bye, Simeon.
Tom, we made it before 10.
An hour earlier there.
Terry, you remember when Marlon Brando said, "I'm coming off for the camera"?